Yeah, I could vote, but I probably don't have time.
Ready?
I am. I don't know if you want.
I thought we were all here.
Okay.
Once I came back in, it was on its way out. I'll be in the room at these meetings, don't you?
He's probably having that last thought too, like.
Too much? No.
Either way, we would have asked if Ryan could see that.
Right.
But that wasn't really that great of a deal.
No, didn't turn out.
No. Right. Yeah, right.
Rick just walked out. You're gonna wait, but I'm at the point where I'm not ready to wait, so.
Okay.
Ready,
Yeah,
Ken?
I'm ready if you are.
Just get started.
Okay.
You ready? All right, we can make sure everybody's mic is on. I'll call the meeting to order, and we can stand for the pledge of allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, go ahead with the roll call.
Yeah. Commissioner Robbins,
Here.
Commissioner Walter,
Yeah.
Commissioner Bunnick,
Here.
Commissioner Wessel,
Here.
Commissioner Campbell,
Here.
Commissioner Elguyer, here, Chairman Yoder.
Here,
All present.
thank you. Next up, we have approval of the agenda. If not, I need a motion.
Once we approve the agenda as presented.
Or.
Support. Discussion. Not all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. Next up, we have public comments. Anybody that wishes to give public comment, you have 3 minutes. All right. On to commissioner comments. Do you have any commissioner comments? All right. Not, we'll move on to our action items. First up, we have facilities and maintenance. Patrick Roach, director here, give us an overview of what he's proposing.
Afternoon. Bear with me just a second while I get added to the meeting here. Screen. Okay, well, good morning. Thank you for this opportunity to present this information to you. I know you have a lot of information to cover. I'm going to try to be respectful of everybody's time. Get through this. Please let me know if I'm going too fast. I'm trying to get a lot of information out. My boss already told me probably got 40 slides too many. So here we go. I'm Pat Roach. I'm your Leelanau County Facilities Director. Give you a quick overview of our department. We're responsible for 150,000 square feet of facilities. This includes the government center, the jailhouse, multiple parks buildings. We maintain 275 acres of parks. You're all familiar with these. And the oversight of the Leland Dam, 5 communication towers, and backup power systems. Our staff is 3.25 full-time equivalents. The notes there you can read. We share 50% of park staff, our parks maintenance tech with parks, and 25% of my administrative responsibilities. It's 0.75 full-time parks. It doesn't equal 1 full-time staff, but we have 4 total. That includes my position of staff for facilities and parks. Our mission, we've come up with a kind of a vision statement of safety, security, and modernization. That's all in alignment to ensure safe, efficient, regulation, compliant operations for community service and support of the Leelanau County government goals for infrastructure, preservation, and accessibility. This is a quick rundown and some visuals of our responsibilities. The government building that we're in now in the county courthouse, the sheriff's office, the law enforcement center, the county jail, the wastewater treatment plant, the well house and water distribution treatment plant, the Leland Dam, which we just finished our 4-year inspection. 5 communication towers. They have associated outbuildings that house the technology and also backup power systems. 3 county parks, as I mentioned earlier, and the Veterans Memorial. Some key achievements that we brought about in 2025. We brought on computerized maintenance management software that allows us to actually track what we're doing so that we can establish what our baseline of activity is. So we can tell how much time, how many man hours, we're doing our best to incorporate all the capabilities of that. But we didn't have any baseline before. We're still getting to know this, but at least now we have numbers that we can track. We completed a survey from MIOSHA. Many of you are familiar with MIOSHA. It's a state agency enforcing workplace safety standards. This is an example of one of the abatements or the cleanups we did. There's a chipping hazard here in this building. We cleaned that up too. Part of the Limbo system implemented a digital online work order system. It streamlines our process. It significantly decreases our response time and allows us to prioritize assets, manpower, and also functions as a work list for us. Some community impact that we had direct logistical support for Kids Fishing Day and for the tree planting that was joint with DTE at Veronica Valley Park. That was 0 extra cost to the community. Our staff did a lot of work on that, and there are also a lot of volunteers. Completed the Leland pedestrian walkway remodel upgrade. This was something we worked on HR with. There was a state and federal requirement to have a lactation space. We were able to find a unit that we could put together ourselves, and buying this more inexpensive unit and putting it together ourselves brought about $10,000 in savings to county taxpayers.
Where is that?
It's right down below us if you go up the stairs, right before you come into the kind of the hallway that goes to the main hallway.
I thought it was going to be in that little stairwell.
No, it's too large for that. We auctioned some underutilized equipment, and through some kind of making lemons out of lemonade, we did have an insurance claim from an accident. And with your cooperation and your guidance and approval, we were able to get 2 brand new Kubota units, and this will greatly reduce the downtime and repair costs for the next 5 years because they're under 5-year warranty. So that was something we did in partnership with all of you, and we greatly appreciate that. We modernized the shop facilities. This is what it looked like when I showed up, and this is what we have created now. Things are much more streamlined. you can see there's a place for everything, and everything is in its place. This increases our turnaround time so that when we put things back and then have to go on a new project, it happens very quickly. Items like the miscellaneous hardware, the reason we have switched to these storage units, these toolboxes, is because we don't really have an office, we have a shop. And so one of the things that Miosha kind of gigged us on, or faulted us with, was the machinery spaces. They need to have more accessibility. It was crowded, and we had been using some of that for storage. This greatly reduced a lot of that. We'd like to continue doing that. There we go. This is something we came up with. This is a kiosk that we use to scan paperwork. So any maintenance records, any receipts, we're able to digitize them, label them, get them into our system immediately. It also functions as, that is the active work list that you see up there. So those work orders come right into there. It's instant. You get a message on your phone, so you get a chime, and you're constantly reviewing that kiosk to see if anything new has popped up. The little scanning section that we came up there, I know that there's been some talk about receipt scanning. We've found a pretty good solution. It functions as a document scanner, and it's worked really well for us. This is a view of the live dam monitoring that we have. There's now 3 cameras that run off of an internet feed. It's a live feed. There's 2 cameras interior to the dam monitoring room and the machinery room. And then there's 1 external that allows us to not only monitor them with video, is that those are it's a tiny microcomputer that runs to that off of the Wi-Fi. And so we can also pull up the lake sensor levels. So we have some remote monitoring, although Dwayne gets a little anal retentive about checking it every day. So in person, I just showed this space because one of the things in my capital outlay that I would like to do is I would like to put a conference table there on the right-hand side there, where the arrow just kind of popped up. I want to put some more of the tables and then move the work stations there. They can function there, and then it would give us a space to lay out blueprints, to do virtual conferencing, virtual classroom. It would be an alternate meeting room. And then finally on the back wall there, just some lockers for cold and foul weather gear. We contributed and upgraded resubmissions to 19 proposals. Some of these involved parks maintenance, playground upgrades, and accessibility projects. I'm just going to talk about 3 of them and a little bit of the rationale. Try not to get bogged down, and I'm a little bit heavy on the front end. I'm trying to move through this quickly so that we can have more time for questions. In the parks plan, the 5-year parks plan, there are 2 sections for these items. It's replace the gazebo at the Old Settlers Park and replace the stairs with a ramp. And those are filled in with those amounts there, 160,000 for replacement, 60,000 for a renovation. And I believe the 60,000 was so expensive because it would involve replacing all those shingles. And you can see there's some that are in bad shape, but a pressure washer, structurally, it looks like it's in really good shape. It just kind of needs a little bit of a facelift. And this month we had one of the buildings inspectors come out to evaluate the ADA requirement for that. And this is according to him. I don't know if we need to do more legal research through the administrator, but according to our building inspector, its proximity to the picnic pavilion satisfies the ADA requirement because there is another structure within close enough proximity to apply. And so that's why I made the recommendation for $3,000 to $5,000 in paint repairs. This is the stairway, the mentioned stairway that needs to be replacement and perhaps get a ramp made. And what I propose is something maybe like this. This essentially is an ADA compliant ramp that has the proper run and rise. At the switchback, you have kind of a pavilion. I thought there's a way to combine both things, and with the pavilion being close enough to provide coverage that is ADA compliant, I think that it would be of more benefit to those people with disabilities to have access to the waterfront. And so one of the ideas that I had for this, and I've been working with the Parks Commission to maybe kind of flesh this out a little further, is to, find an architect and select a design. Once we have a design decided on, then we can specify the materials costs, and we can come to you with that amount. And I think that as long as we get the plans, I talked to Amber and she said that they have to be 2021 compliant and they have to be locked. And as long as we follow those plans, I think we could do a lot of that ourselves or with some help of volunteers.
So would you help me? Where would that be? On the beach?
I gotta break the spell here.
Because you showed us a ramp.
Yeah. Let me go
But
through
that
this.
is flat with a.
Right, so the run and rise would be kind of in that section there, okay? And so you would have the proper ratio for descent, okay? And then coming out of this side, you would have another ramp. And it would have enough space along the waterfront to provide access. And it's also good for people who have bad knees, that kind of thing.
So where is that pavilion? Is it up on the hill or down? I guess I don't know much about that.
So what it would probably involve is probably the back end, a bit on the hillside, and then pylons like that. The structure would be level, but the footing would be adjusted to make it level. And the idea is go down, have a pavilion, then cut back down to the waterfront.
Thank you.
This is one thing that I submitted as a CIP. It was for a non-permanent ice rink. And originally, I think looking up the cost for boards and things like that, liners, came up with $30,000. And in doing some more investigation, I think that we could probably just create a liner or get a liner and some resurfacing tools for about that amount. A couple other things, to manage hot water. But I've just kind of juxtaposed some photos here. This is the event that they did is at Miles Kimmerly through the Historical Society at the Poor Barn. And I know there's been some discussion about public and private partnerships. I think this is an excellent example of that. I would like to see more things, maybe not this big, but it could go in that direction if we have the space to put these events on. And this is just some more pictures that there was really a lot of energy generated or positive buzz about it. These are some winter activities. And the idea is to kind of get people excited, make emotional contacts to the park again. I saved this picture because these are similar to the fences that we would either replace with kind of on the same footprint, exactly on the same footprint. Would it revive livestock events rather? I don't know. I mean, essentially, this is the prototype that we came up with for one section. It would replace the fences. It would create a space. And I had a meeting last Thursday with 2 members from the Parks Commission. This is in development, but I think it could be something to create these kind of events. There already is a lot of outdoor events. At Sutton's Bay, you've got Yeti Fest. The Leland Rink has been really successful. It could be part of something that would generate a lot of interest and connection to the parks, I think. The second barn for the Marine Patrol and law enforcement is submitted. Yes, it does meet their needs. It does provide them a space, but it's done to create more space for storage in the government center. This is the space that's lovingly referred to as the ugly room. It's the utility room. And right now, these are the things that we keep in there. There's a lot of things there from senior services. There's a couple of things from probation or probate. And then there's kind of what was left of our workout room. And the idea is if we have 2 barns, and this is just an AI rendering, it's mostly just a place saver, but that gets all of the sheriffs and the law enforcement out into their own barn. And that frees up the space in our barn that we can move things from here should we need to build out that. That is the last remaining space that we could build out as any kind of offices for any department that needs to expand, such as IT. So trying to get ahead of that curve. I put in this much for education. We have a couple of items that we would like to be on the, we would like to be constantly improving. I think that's one of the tenets that we put forth here. I know that they're working on a vision statement and a motto for Leelanau County, but I think that constant improvement, I think this would definitely fall underneath it. We want to stay up to date with the best industry practices. These are some memberships to help also keep us current. Some subscriptions. That larger number for subscriptions is because right now we are on a 2-year contract with Limbo, our maintenance management software. We got 2 years for $6,000. We don't have to kind of renegotiate until it would be, I guess, 2027. And we'd have to figure out their full price is $4,000 a year, just a little over $4,000. If you want education, that involves some travel, involves some networking, some conferences. This is some of these. Most of these are all in state. I think I put one in that was out of state, but we'd probably focus on in-state conferences and workshops. Staffing level changes for 2026, kind of a buzzword recently. I've got a couple different ways to approach this. What I would like to see is the addition of a deputy maintenance supervisor, and that could be done a couple of different ways. If we absorbed one of the technician positions and generated this position, it would be $13,596 of additional funding, which takes me $1498 over my original adjusted 2025 budget that I used to work off of. But there is a lot of components to this county, and there's a lot to keeping it together. It's very important that we maintain continuity and services should anything happen to our current maintenance supervisor, Dwayne, and we need to have coverage if he had to get surgery or if he wanted to take some vacation. Right now, the gap is we have 2 entry-level positions, 2 maintenance technicians, and then we have a maintenance supervisor, and the knowledge gap there is vast. It takes a long time to fill in that gap in terms of training and skill sets. And furthermore, if you have someone who is taking that on, they're also going to have the burden of providing coverage and having that knowledge base. And if you're going to ask that much more of an employee, if you're going to ask them to shoulder that much more responsibility, require them to have more skill sets, then there needs to be some kind of additional compensation for that position. So if you created that position and then were to, the word I use is backfill that maintenance technician position, that would, that technician's salary would add an additional $47,586, and with the adjustments made to incorporate a new deputy maintenance supervisor, that'd be a 4.3% budget increase. And the justification is it maintains coverage. So you have now coverage for our maintenance supervisor, you have succession planning, and you still haven't lost anything in covering this campus and the parks. This was a proposal. We have had some recruiting issues. We have some budget restrictions, and one of the ideas I had to incorporate into training, I've already incorporated this amount, is to train up and develop staff from within. We have someone who's dedicated and wanting to pursue that. It's not limited to that. The board feels like that they would rather try to hire someone for that position. This just allows us to develop relationships with our staff and develop that trust. You know, they are investing in us, we are investing in them, and hopefully help with retention. So the total impact, if adopted for next year, would increase us to 4.25 full-time employees. The IFMA is the International Facilities Management Association, and the NRPA is National Recreation and Parks Association. And they recommend, it's all in your the budget that I submitted, but they recommend a certain amount of staffing as per square footage and as per acres of park. So this would help fulfill that, or at least close that gap. Current challenges and some organizational insights. Right now, we're engaging in mostly reactive maintenance. And in the earlier slide, we're about 72% reactive maintenance. So that means something breaks, we fix it. The idea is to get out ahead of that, to plan more preventative maintenance, make decisions that reduce us having to respond to things breaking all the time. And as it says there, it reduces lifespan and is more expensive. I think it's important that we keep pace with technology. It's important that we keep pace with industry standards and improve and streamline our processes and service. We want to leverage and expand on what we already have in-house. So that's getting the most out of what we already have as assets. And really focus to enhance communication and trust with between our department, between us and the board. And that way we will be able to support modernization efforts that should lead to improvements. And we want to create an environment that keeps and attracts skilled, motivated, service-oriented team. If you start with quality ingredients, you get quality results. And we ask these guys to be responsible for a lot. We trust them in very sensitive spaces. And that has to be a team. It has to function as one cohesive unit. So my big three recommendations, when I initially got the adjusted 2025 budget, I reduced it by a lot. Then I added the training, I added the travel, I added the capital outlay, and still ended up with a 1% reduction. These are the big three that I think need to be focused on. The heat pump chiller, there's been a lot of discussion for that already. The engineered wastewater system upgrade, that incorporates a study and the recommendations already made by the engineering firm Pescador, and the deputy maintenance supervisor. The first two, those are essentially capital improvements. They're not going to really directly affect my budget. But the third one, as I put forth earlier, there's a couple different ways we can do it, but I think it's very important that we don't have that knowledge and skill gap. And even if it means sacrificing one of the technicians, you have to have someone in that position for continuity. I explained this a little bit earlier before. If we just convert a technician position into that intermediate position, I go over the adjusted 2025 budget by about $1,500. If you add that new deputy supervisor position and keep two dedicated technicians, it puts me at about 4.3% over that adjusted 25. And that's about 1 or 2% over the inflation rate that's projected to be about 2 or 3%. So I got through all that. I wanted to leave a lot of time for questions.
Any questions?
Yeah, when you talked about the pole barn, I think it's a great idea, and I knew it was gonna happen as soon as we got that boat. And that's what I said right away, that boat's gonna cause another pole barn. But I also think that if we do it, we should do it large enough so that the storage area can go into it. If we open up that storage area, there's a lot more room. I know there's no windows in it, but it still could be a great place for offices or something,
I agree. I think what we proposed is a 40 by 50 barn, and it came out to a little over 100 grand. I think 125 might be 150. I haven't looked at that CIP in a little bit, but I couldn't agree more. If you wanted to continue and expand that, I think we could get a lot more functionality out of it.
Well, the only thing is it would have to be, I believe, climate controlled.
Yes, the proposal that I have for that CIP includes I think it's natural gas air furnaces. They're like blow furnaces. It's the same thing that we have in the LEC barn right now.
Right, and plus air conditioning, in the summer.
Yeah, that's what we don't have. You'd have to add that, yeah.
I just think that, but where will it go?
I walked earlier this year with the sheriff and the undersheriff, and we kind of paced out the current orientation of the pole barn kind of goes like this, right? And then we paced out a 40 by 50 that would be kind of like a L shape. There's no need to really connect them. You could do like maybe an entryway to go door to door.
Right.
There's a little bit of room going back, but then you can't go back too far. But there's adequate space there. You could expand a little further. It would take some more figuring, but yeah, I agree with you, Commissioner.
Yeah, because I think that, you know, there's, like you say, as we grow, that room will get used, and then we still would have to be able to expand the storage. And I don't know how often they go into that room. They would have to just walk over there instead.
Yep.
You know, you probably have to get them a golf cart.
Well, I'll ask you for one.
So that, I guess, one other thing, I'm not sure, when you talked about the 3.25 people,
Mhm.
Does that include you, the 3.25?
3.25. So we have a total of 4 people. My position is functionally administrative. I'm more than happy to answer a call when I can, but I was hired for a skill set to do strategic planning, to make recommendations and evaluations.
So you're not part of maintenance,
Not,
just the facilities director?
I'm a little bit of coverage if they need it, but I spend a lot of time crunching data.
Yeah, because that's what I was wondering about, because I see you as the maintenance supervisor, you know, the maintenance supervisor really is the deputy, you know, maintenance supervisor.
So what happened is when they, the structure.
I don't understand.
Sure. The structure is they created this position to kind of be someone who can translate between blue collar and white collar. My background in maintenance and the extra graduate work that I did was all in management and strategic planning. There was tourism and hospitality thrown into that too. And then my background in Coast Guard aviation maintenance and survival systems maintenance, which is a lot less forgiving than this. They wanted that experience, that management. And then Jerry's position, Mr. Coleman's position, that was Dwayne Flasco was promoted into that position, but you can't have a director over a director. So that title was changed to maintenance supervisor. And as I referenced earlier, what I'm proposing is another step down from him to have that medium person who is attached at hip and apprenticing up. And so that there's not that big gap between entry level position and, you know, department maintenance supervisor.
Seems redundant, but. Okay. I guess those are my questions that I have.
I was a little surprised not to see carpeting in the request. And the carpets are, what, 18 years old, 19 years old, and
Yeah.
you walk down the hallway, there's a lot of damaged areas, or appears to be.
Yeah, if that's something that the board wants me to pursue, or I can certainly pursue that. The recommendation by Mr. Coleman was that we go to kind of a square program so that when you have those, you can just replace the square. And that's probably what I would pursue. That's a big project though, because you want it all to match. So if you want to do that as one big project, that's a lot of space to cover. You could also go floor by floor. I don't know how that affects, you know, making sure you've got the same pattern. But that's something I can definitely put together a CIP on.
Well, it seems like it ought to at least be on our capital improvement plan for some time in the future, because we're going to need it.
We did have every main hallway shampooed this year, though.
The number 4.25 full-time equivalents is what I recall, but that included you.
It includes me because I'm in the department, yeah.
So that was the number I saw up there. But if these changes are made, how I think I see it is 3 of those full-time equivalents are going to be in some type of supervisory role, or not just plain maintenance, which leaves it, in my mind, fairly top-heavy.
Oh, that's not the intention at all. I mean, we can discuss titles. It's just a matter of skill sets knowledge base. I mean, we can label them technician 1, 2, 3. You know, the issue, the only real separation is between Dwayne Flaska and myself, whereas I listen to them, I go around with them, and then I'm trying to keep the rain off their head and also explaining their needs to you. And Dwayne and also our contractor, Gary, who plays a very important role we've discussed in the past, they are our subject matter specialists. You know, Dwayne has been here for coming up on 9 years. And I'll also add that I don't think he plans on retiring anytime soon, but he could in November. And should he win the lotto or anything, we'd be, you know, hot stepping to find someone to fill his shoes.
Not rooting for you, just to let you know. I also, you know, I understand you're, you know, you want to make the comparisons nationally to what
Sure.
it would take to maintain what we have. I'm not sure, are we somewhat closer or close if you add in having Gary here for basically 3/5 of a position?
He's a force multiplier, to be sure. He is fulfilling a lot of the things that he takes on himself to go around doing that we could have in that position. I mean, I hope he's around forever because we get a great deal on other things. But in terms of a maintenance component, what I foresee is hopefully with his help transitioning so that we have technicians that are familiar with our assets. And although we might lose what we gain in Gary's capacity, he's got licenses, he's got all that. There's the example I like to bring up is go try to get your scuba tanks filled if you don't have a certificate. They won't even sell us parts for the boiler, for the heat pumps. They won't even sell those parts to us without the certifications that D&W keeps him current in.
And Gary, you could win the lottery because you would probably still work if I know you.
I don't think we'd know it if you did.
I've made a dedication to be here, as you all know. I've been here for 19 years now, and on another plea to go for another 3 years. But like I said, this is a contract position, so that means that D&W would take over if, and I won't be retiring anytime soon. That's why I went into partial retirement, just to be here 3 days a week, 3.5.
Or so.
I hope that answered, I hope that
Yeah.
answered your question.
I appreciate you, and I think everyone here does.
Yeah.
And appreciate that whole staff out there. Most of you in some capacity. I just feel like I'm missing something on page 186 on the budget. You had those numbers. And you know, the amended budget for this year was, you know, 1,133,874, and then the proposed budget, 1,121. I think I said a reduction of 1% or so.
Yeah, net reduction.
Net reduction.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how that's possible, honestly. So I'm wondering
Sure.
what I missed. Was there a big project that propped up this present budget, or?
My guess is that there was a lot of money put into office operating supplies and repair supplies and for both.
Furniture that we bought, was that in there, or?
What I deduce is that was during COVID, that stuff was bumped to accommodate all the requirements for germ barriers. And it was just kind of left at that amount. And so what I did is I looked at how much we are spending now, you know, being into, well, at the time I prepared the budget, it was July. So I was looking at those numbers and trying to predict, knowing that we're heavier on spending on the back half because of the weather. We find that we spend more. And I think the cuts that I made, I felt we still had a really nice cushion. So
that's how you got there. It wasn't like a big project which lumped up 1 year as compared to the next. A lot of smaller expenses from this fiscal year did not carry over to the proposed budget for.
I did not carry them over. I wanted to move in these directions for continuity, to maintaining all the services that we provide to not lose. And I thought that we would invest in those areas rather than keeping a buffer in things that we appear to have enough money for.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess another question I have is about the heat pump chiller. I thought that was in this budget for this year.
It is, at the time I was preparing it, that was not locked in. I thought I'd have to explain more and convince you more. And so I did leave it though, because I felt like those were the three things that are very important this year.
So it's gonna probably come out of next year's budget, and you're saying it's in next year's budget?
It's a capital improvement, and maybe Kathy be best to speak to that.
Could you come forward?
Sure. Yes, the heat pump chiller and the dehumidification system are currently in the 25 budget as a pending project transfer from DTR. So if we were to look at those budgets in the 25 approved budget that you're working with now, they're there. If they don't get done, we'll move them into 2026. So they are, Patrick is correct, it's not part of his budget, it's part of a capital project budget. Are they in, is that in process? It seems like we've been talking about it forever.
Yes, we released an RFP for the engineering of that. Essentially, this is a custom made item. And we're asking the engineer to really do two things. To evaluate the appropriate solution. It could be a cooling tower like we have now. That basically is an ambient air cooling function, is the best way to describe it. The other potential alternative is a chiller, which is really more like a big air conditioner. It's closed system. It doesn't have as much as some, I would presume, but as much sensitivity to ambient temperature like an open air chiller that we have now. So we're asking the engineer to look at both of those alternatives and understand and tell us how they would propose to make certain that we're delivering water. I don't recall, and Gary can certainly confirm, water needs to be delivered at a certain temperature. And if it's plus or minus a couple degrees of that, it ends up shutting down the heat pumps inside. And what we want the engineer to do is to give us a solution that avoids that situation. And then once we have that solution, we'll get approval to proceed to actually build whatever that is and have it custom built and delivered to the site. And primarily all of the work would occur outside the building rather than inside to disrupt the operations. The main disruption that we get now is because of the cooling tower, again, doesn't deliver appropriate temperature water. The heat pumps shut down, they degrade, and they need to be replaced. We're looking to try to fix that situation. So in all likelihood, you're going to have some expenses for that project in both budget years. You're going to have the engineering expense will most likely occur this year. And then the actual construction and installation will most likely occur next year. We're trying to, based upon when we issue the RFP, I don't have it in front of me, but my recollection is we were not anticipating actually awarding the construction until sometime in the spring, and the actual construction not occur until sometime in the fall, because you don't want to install something like that during your peak cooling season. You want to install it either in the spring or in the fall, and based upon our estimate of when we'll actually get that construction done, we don't anticipate that would occur any sooner than probably fall of 2026. So you're going to be spending money on this project probably a little bit this year and the bulk of it next year.
And I just looked again because I was looking for a building and grounds line on our expenditures,
Is there one there that I missed in our budget?
It's in a fund. Buildings and grounds is under the tab special funds.
Oh, okay.
And it's toward the back because of the fund number 631. And it is going to be page number 58 of 74.
Why not have it in with all our other departments?
It is a donated fund that is cost allocated to all of the departments. So it doesn't have any revenue other than charges that we get from all the other departments for their share.
Sure.
So anytime we work with buildings and grounds, it reaches out to all the other departments.
Sure.
And it's based on square footage that they absorb in the building. And so that's how we put cash into the fund to pay for all the supplies, the wages and whatnot.
Just,
That's an appropriate budgeting and accounting technique to have a separate fund for a cost allocated program like building grounds. Because what you're doing is you're essentially your revenue comes from the assessment, the cost allocated assessment to the other departments.
it's just weird. I mean, it's like most of that revenue is all general fund revenue, and here is general fund expenses, but there's nothing in there for building grounds. Now that I know, don't know what looks in different spot.
Well, senior services does pay
See,
and they have their own fund.
Yes, they do.
Building safety, same thing. Child care fund 292, dispatch 232. Everybody has a charge for their space. And some of those operate in their own fund, not in the general fund.
You have any other questions?
So we don't have an actual budget that lines it out. in here.
Yes, on page 58 of 74 in the special funds tab in your book.
Right.
Actually, that was why I really like to see that number in what you propose.
So it's 58 and 59.
58 of 74.
Right, 58 and 74 and 59 and 74.
Sure, 2 pages. How about 3 pages? It takes up 3 pages.
Yeah.
See, they proposed 1,049,000.
Where you?
Well, it's just right at the top.
That is charges for services. That's what's cost allocated to all of the departments and funds for their allocation of the expenses of this department. The expenses are underneath that, under the revenues. Expenses start with your overtime salaries, non-work holiday, longevity. So in a fund, you'll have a revenue side and an expenditure side.
I'm saying it's 1,133,874 dollars.
That's the 25 budget. And Patrick's line, his column is called Department Changes or Requests. So that would be the far right column. These are the numbers he's proposing, and this is where it illustrates how he reduced some of his anticipated spending, like in repair and maintenance, office supplies, both on this side of the campus and the LEC side. We do point off by sides of the campus as well. This budget also holds the contractual relationship with your lawn maintenance people, which is, I believe you renewed with Spinnaken again, correct? And D&W, your proposed renewal. This is also where your cleaning service contract lies with Solutions for You. So all of these costs get cost allocated to all the departments that benefit from the parking lot being plowed, the buildings being cleaned, et cetera.
So there's a lot of contractual fees. Do you count those as, full employment people? You know,
No, they don't figure into my staffing structure.
That doesn't seem to be accounted for in this budgeting, how much you pay out in contracts for people working. Because I mean, when they mow here, you probably got 3 guys out here for a full day, once a week. So that would, that almost be a 3/4 of a person, for maintenance. There's also the cleaning inside this building, every night,
Mhm.
there's people here. So there's another 2 people full-time on maintenance.
Well,
At least 2. If you're going by square footage and the number of people you have, it appears to me that we have more than enough people here, when you take into consideration contractual people. I don't know, that just.
so
I mean, the contractual people are above and beyond. So we contracted those, so we didn't have to hire more employees to do that. So you really can't count them. I mean, it was a cost savings to us because you don't have a benefit package for that. So to contracted employees is a deal we did. It's got nothing to do with the maintenance department. I mean,
But-
So it would effectively cut the cost to the county, or save the county money by doing it that way instead of hiring full-time employees.
but further to Commissioner Bunnick's point, so when you go get to those 2 industry standards, the people that set the standards, I mentioned them before, there's the International Facilities Management Association, National Recreation and Parks Association. They have just our park staffing should be somewhere, I think, around 8 or 10 just for parks. And then for facilities maintenance, I'd have to go back and look at my notes. I think I did put it in your presentation. You could go and find it, what they recommended for both 150,000 square feet. And I think at the time I only figured for 245 acres, and recently it was corrected up to 275. So they have their staffing standards, and it's common practice to reduce that staffing just as you say. So if you account for those, they do reduce a lot of maintaining work for us. But with that reduction and our staff, there's still a gap, according to their standards.
So, yeah, that's what, because you didn't explain that before. Before you just talked about, they had this standard and we should have one more person. But you didn't talk about, the contracts that we have.
Sure, and happy to talk about that further, because there's still a gap is the point that presentation makes.
Yeah, I guess I didn't understand.
And about as far as efficiency, which leads me to believe a better comparison would be the actual cost per square foot to maintain as compared to how many employees you do or don't have.
I wouldn't know how to approach that algorithm.
I'm just saying that because I imagine every facility, they make those decisions. Are we gonna hire a lawn man or a lawn person or whatever? So I'd drag that out plain long enough. Haven't I, Mark?
Yeah. Ours has been.
We're encroaching into emergency management here. Does anybody have any follow-up questions?
I was just listening, the working document that you have to help you stay organized.
Yeah.
We referenced the barn. Here, it is in the 2028 level of the CIP, which is not captured on here. Do you want me to put the barn on this list for consideration?
What's the general consensus of everybody on that? Just bear with that.
I don't think we're really ready to start moving things over until we hear everybody. That's my opinion.
Right.
It's just a placeholder, so you don't lose track of what he has presented and what you've talked about. This is not a commitment, it's
Yeah, based on
just,
what I'm hearing, I would put it on there. We can always take it off, but at
Okay.
least that way it's part of the discussion and then we can figure out what to do with that later.
and then the ice rink is on the CIP in year 2028. You presented, Do you want to add it to the working list for consideration, not a decision?
I do that.
I don't.
Wasn't necessarily brought up, so I would probably, yeah, leave it all for now.
Okay, and then Commissioner Wessel brought up carpeting. I went through the CIP. It's not on the CIP from what I could figure out in any of the next 5 years. And I don't think it was in your presentation either. So we've all discussed it. Do you want it on your list?
I guess I would recommend having a CIP and have it in next year's budget then, so we can have a proper CIP done and go through that process, unless if you recommend a different process.
For something like that, I think you ought to at least have in front of you an estimate of the cost. So I would leave it, I would put it on Kathy's list of things to do. We can decide whether or not that gets included in the 2026 budget, or if we simply pursue a quote to give you an idea of what it's going to take for 2027. So but I would agree with Commissioner Wessel. There are areas that need substantial improvement.
But aren't they mostly in the hallways?
Yes, primarily in the
We
hallways.
wouldn't have to do all the rooms right.
True. And what we could do is
Mostly hallways, I believe.
we do is get a quote that covers everything and get an idea of what the percentages for hallway would be versus interior office spaces. That's what I recommend.
And just one more on the working list that I got off the CIP was a trailer mount generator. Is
That was
from your
that was a
office?
legacy CIP.
A legacy.
I think it's a good idea. I did not prepare that one.
It was in 26 or 27, but I captured both the years for your consideration. We can keep it, move it
Right, that's right.
for
Well-
consideration.
Yeah, if you're talking about carpet in the hallway, we might look at tile or some way, just as we did with the stairway. Because if initially they were gonna put carpeting in the stairways, and we went away from that. Because the hallways give a tremendous amount of use. I don't know, slippery with snow might be a reason not to, but
I think nowadays, if your preference is carpeting, the use of carpet tiles is recommended, because you can buy and replace a 1x1 or 2x2, whatever it is, square, much easier than an entire area. And I know many applications that have gone to that route, particularly those of heavy wear.
Kat, did you get your question answered?
Not quite on the trailer mount generator?
What's the consensus from the?
I would
board
leave
on
it on the list of things to consider,
Okay,
but not necessarily have it very high place.
it was in the 27 category on the
leave it
CIP, so,
I'm okay with leaving.
Okay.
it to
I think
27.
that would make sense.
Okay.
Again, I don't like taking things like that off.
no.
They can be rolled over and remain in the area of consideration.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right,
I just wanted to just close and say, I know you guys are tracking a lot of targets. You got a lot of decisions to make. So I just appreciate having your full attention for this amount of time. I appreciate it.
Patrick.
Good job on your office.
Thanks. Thank you.
Good job of organizing. I think even my wife would. Yeah. I have just, rather than make these decisions on if we're gonna go on the right side of the ledger and the left side of the ledger before we heard from everyone, I might suggest that we hear from everyone and then make those decisions.
And I would tend to agree. I think what we want to do is hear those priorities, put them on the list, and then consider them when you've heard them all. I absolutely agree.
That's what we do.
Well, we're listening. No, we're just.
We're
keeping
taking
listening.
some and saying, okay, on others.
All right, thank you, Matt. Appreciate you being here.
No problem.
Go for it.
All right. I always want to be mindful of the board's time. I guess some good news is that I thought I had far less time than what I had. So we may be able to keep on track and the board can get moving on to what they really want to do is maybe beat up on the undersheriff a little bit. So not a big deal. Yeah. So I got Lauren's gracious enough to assist with progressing through the PowerPoint presentation. We can go to the next slide, please. So these are the employees that we have. And I always like to make it a point to show them off because we do chain them to the desk in dispatch and they're not allowed to leave. So it is nice to be able to show them off. As you can see, we are full staffed and not very many 911 centers across the nation can say that. So we're very fortunate at this point. We're very happy to have the staff that we possess and moving forward in the future. So next slide, please. So as far as the recurring budgetary expenditures, I broke them up into the different budgets that we have, the 911 services. And Kathy, I don't know if I have the new budget numbers correct or not. It's okay. It's not a big deal, just so that the board is able to see where they come from. Our flex maintenance is the big ticket item in that budget in the 232. It is split up between 911 dispatch, road patrol, and jail operations. I do like to make sure that the board sees all three portions in my budget proposal, just in case they are overlooked in some other part of the budget. So at least they're able to be seen here. Smart 911 and Rave Alert, those are our mass notification piece for alerting the public in emergency situations, as well as obtaining caller information that is supplemental through apps, that the Smart 911 app. So that's an opt-in service. But all the other recurring costs are a little bit nickel and dime, if you will, compared to what the flex system is. Communication radio projects, the 911 console and nice recorder, that's another big ticket item that we have. And then the field radio maintenance that we service all of the radios within the county. So for the police, fire, and EMS agencies throughout the county. Radio UPS, basically in our server room downstairs with all of our equipment, with all the CAD servers and the radio servers. So the UPS system keeps the radio portion online. So we're able to find a very affordable maintenance package for that. And then with the tower fund, you can see that the revenue that we take in for 2024, just shy of $400,000. And then the revenue sharing that we pay out for the Noonans, the Mitchells, and the Leelanau Township for our tower agreements. Those are the towers that are county owned on private or other public property. All right. Any questions on that?
We don't have that, do we?
No.
So I was just wondering, we have two towers here. Are we ever gonna just get it to one?
Yes, that is coming up. It's not a problem. Appreciate that. Okay, so next slide, please. As far as the capital improvement plan, these are future capital outlay projects that we have identified for 2026. With the nice recorder, some of the board members may be familiar that we had to perform an upgrade to this server in 2023. We have again been notified by the state of Michigan that another update is mandatory, and not a whole lot of time was given to us in order to prepare budget-wise. I was able to reach out to the vendor that assisted us in 2023 with the cost savings. So Word Systems and Technologies is able to provide this service to us, this upgrade, at a discount than what we would do if we went through Motorola or NICE. So that's what I've included into the budget proposal. If the board is favorable to moving forward with that, Word Systems would be able to install that equipment in 2025, but not bill us until 2026. So for what it's worth. The ArcGIS Pro upgrade to the mapping server of dispatch. what we operate on now, what we operate on right now is the standard version of the mapping software. And any updates that we have to our server moving forward, they're not going to be supported for the standard version anymore. Thankfully, our equalization department has the licensing for the improved version of the mapping software. We're just going to need project management in order to transition that data from standard to the pro. I've had many conversations with the IT director and the equalization about having this done. It is very complex. It's not something that they want to do themselves. I looked at a third-party vendor in order to have that done. And unfortunately, even the third-party vendor was going to have Motorola involved as well. So we wouldn't have saved any money bringing in a third party. So that is what we have with that project. And as far as the AEDs, our units themselves are operating well. I'm pleased with the units that we identified to move forward. Unfortunately, some of the perishable items that come with them, the pads and the batteries, they are becoming more and more expensive in order to replace. They do have a shelf life, they do expire, and anytime that a unit is used, we have to replace those pads. So a little bump up in the budget line would be great in order to keep the inventory that we have in working order.
Is there a tariff on those?
It seems that way sometimes, but no, not that we've seen. Yeah.
Is there a chance you could ask for 2% funding for those pads and the batteries? Because that's something I think the tribe would appreciate, that it's helping out the people wherever they are.
We can look into that. Mhm.
Another question I had is, you do the repairs and I think things for all of the radios, correct?
Yeah.
And all the fire departments.
Correct.
Is there any charge for doing that?
There's no charge as far as to the fire department themselves. They pay an annual maintenance fee. So yeah, we do.
Has that stayed the same since we started it?
Correct, it has.
There hasn't been any increase for inflation or any other?
No, and that was based on the number of radio units that they received in the project. And then we've had the same level of payments that we've been given to Motorola as well throughout the 10 years. So we did not factor in any kind of inflation for those annual maintenance fees.
Should we do that?
It kind of depends. I think with the upcoming project, that can be explored, and I know that you'll be part of that discussion. But I don't know if it should be automatically. It all depends on how the project turns out.
But it is something we should consider.
Yeah, it's worth a discussion. Okay. Next slide, please. All right, so capital improvement plan beyond, talking about the radios. That is one of the big projects on the horizon. It kind of all depends on how these discussions go, what the scope of this project is going to be. Basically, the board is probably aware that the state and the FBI have imposed some encryption requirements for radio transmissions, and it's all related to law enforcement right now. But that doesn't mean that they won't transition to EMS traffic in the future. Thankfully, with this project, once we become compliant with encryption, we'd be able to not have the heartache involved this time around if we do it again. So the board has decided to task the Fire Chiefs Association in order to define this project, and we've assigned 2 commissioners and the county administrator to sit in on these meetings. We have one next week, next Wednesday. So notice went out today just as a reminder. We're going to have a demo from Kenwood. So Kenwood's going to come and show their radios off, be able to see what their capabilities are and how they can improve our overall operation. So what the final project is gonna look like, I wish I had a crystal ball and I could tell you, but at this point, it is very much TBD, so. I don't wanna put a dollar amount on it and be severely wrong in the future, so. Yeah, and then moving on, so our Flex server, we're in good shape right now. We're about year 5 of a minimum 7-year life expectancy. So having this on the horizon is a very good idea. And there are different options that we can pursue. When we initially went with this system, we had an IT structure that was very much anti-cloud-based technology. That is not really the case right now. We can explore other options, whether we want to have a cloud-based system moving forward. That could save the county a lot of hardware costs, but of course, you know, there would be some storage and annual maintenance fees that would go up. So how this is going to look could vary, but what I was able to put in here is what we were quoted from Motorola in order to get the same system that we have right now. And then the final one is getting rid of the second tower. Right now, it's operational, it's fine. One of the benefits of building the second tower is that the line of sight from the new tower to the central tower is our primary link from dispatch into the state and to what used to be the county VHF system. That is our primary link to communications outside of the dispatch center. The line of sight is much better from the new tower. So it would make most sense to take our equipment off the old tower and put it on the new. And what I was able to put in there is just a ballpark figure of what one vendor has provided to me in order to take down the tower. So I do expect that number to rise as we move into the future. But it is something that I know everybody wants. They don't want to look at 2 towers on this property.
What's that number on there right now?
I was gonna say.
80,000?
80,000.
Okay.
Or would you be able to sell the other tower?
It's,
Or it's too old?
that tower probably would not have a whole lot of marketability. It really would have to go with the foundation, and nobody's really gonna take the foundation with it, so. Yeah, it's unfortunately, it wouldn't have the market that we would want to get back on the return. So, next slide, please.
Is there any timeline for that?
There's not.
I had an email from a cherry farmer not named Lacrosse, who was concerned that having an empty tower sitting there for that length of time violates the township zoning ordinance. And while he gave nod to the fact that we are exempt as a county, he says that's not a very good look, and frankly, I got to agree with him too, so.
Yeah. We can talk offline on that. I don't want to talk about that in a public meeting. There are some things that can be said.
Public meeting, but I'm just relaying that there are folks in the community that are concerned about it.
Yeah. And that's understandable, absolutely. But we do have it identified as a project. All right, moving on. So I know that funding 911 is never a fun topic to discuss. And I want to address some of the, I guess, misnomers that may be out there. If we were to transition some of our operations, even for 5 minutes a day, we would no longer be the primary answering point, the public safety answering point, the PSAP, if you will, for Leelanau County. That affects the funding that we do receive from the state. So we would see a reduction in those dollars that we get from the state. We would also have to compensate the agency that takes over for us. So it's the ripple effect, the domino effect, if you will, really tends to amplify as we go down this path. So when we receive money from the state or locally through surcharge or millages, a lot of those funds can only be allocated toward 911 operations. They can't be put towards the general fund. Last year, Kathy and I were lucky enough to go through an audit from the state on our 911 budget, and we performed very well, but they were very adamant about where money was going, weren't they? So a lot of this money can only be moved in certain ways to certain budgets for allowable funds. And if we were to no longer be the primary answering point, those funds would have to be moved toward the outside agency. And if we were to no longer be the primary answering point, we are susceptible to their decision-making, whoever we decide to allow to answer our calls. They determine what the training levels for their dispatchers are. They determine what the hiring standards for their dispatchers are, the policies and procedures, the technologies that they use, and how much they charge us. So it becomes more of a demand from them in order to provide these services. And I just want to caution, if those are going to be conversations you want to have, it may not work out in the favor that we want for our constituents.
I have a question for Matt on that, and don't misinterpret the question, because I have a lot of respect for your operation, but we received the breakdown of cost per resident, per service, comparative cost across 24 counties.
Okay.
And our dispatch is so far more expensive than the rest of the 23 counties. Our cost per resident, according to this, and I know there may be some problems there, but according to this, was $162 per resident.
Okay.
Out of the 24 counties, the next one down is $47. So I suspect it's part of the confusion between communications and dispatch, but are we spending more than most counties on 911?
I do have a slide that goes down, and I don't know what budgetary numbers you were able to obtain. What I'm gonna show to you is what I report to the state and what other 911 centers report to the state.
Well, this would be good because these came from the state.
Okay, yeah, but was it the state 911 office or was it,
Well,
someone else?
and
Yeah, I know.
across 24 counties, there's probably lots of different budget categories and.
Yeah. You never know.
I do want to raise a question.
Not a problem. All right, so we can go to the next slide, please. So as far as staying local, we're able to keep the decisions local. We're able to keep the funding local and the services we provide to our citizens local. This board makes the final decisions that way. If we were to flip the switch, it's not you seven that are involved, that are in charge. Somebody else is. We would be able to remain the primary PSAP. We would continue to collect the money that we get from the state and locally. And the Leelanau residents would have the pride, the sense of pride, if you will. Leelanau County is an older generation county. And there is something to be said about hometown services. And I think that that's going to be very well voiced by our citizens. So, next slide, please. Here are the numbers that I wanted to show you. So these are 911 funding figures that are reported to the state that I bring before you that have a May deadline. We usually come before you in at least March, sometimes February. And this has to do with how we report our local 911 surcharge and other funds that come to support 911. So as you can see, of the counties around northern Michigan that were selected, all but 2 have a local 911 surcharge. Only 4 have a local millage, and of those 4, 2 of them double dip with a 911 surcharge as well. As a citizen, that's not how I would want to recommend the board move, but that's how it goes. So the dispatcher training funds, those are based on how many full-time positions that each 911 center has. And that's based on how many workable hours you have recorded in the chair. As you can see, Leelanau is at 9 because we didn't have 10 for most of 2024. We were in a hiring process, we're training people, but we did not achieve 10. The state 911 surcharge that we receive and the general funds that are put in, the overall total 911 budget. The 911 budget that we report to the state was basically $1.5 million. Of that, general fund and other contributions is $1.2 million that the county puts into our budget. So, Lauren, if you can go to the next slide, please. Breaking this down, I wanted to show gold, silver, and bronze. So in the local 911 surcharge, Grand Traverse County comes away with a gold medal for the amount of money that they collect from their local surcharge, $2.9 million. And then we have Wexford County coming in second, and then Charlevoix, Sheboygan, and Emmett coming in third. The only medal, if you will, that Leelanau earns would be in the general fund contributions. We come in second, only to CCE, Charlevoix, Sheboygan, and Emmett. So not even in the total 911 budget are we top 3. So as far as how much money per citizen, I can't support that. I don't know how to say. Okay. And Lauren, next slide, please. So as far as alternative funding sources, if the board was interested in pursuing a higher local 911 surcharge, have a breakdown of that, a local 911 millage, and then some comparisons for the board to ponder over. Now, the local 911 surcharge in 22 and 2024, we collected $122,000. It basically works out to 24,236 phone lines. Okay, so every cell phone, every landline, every fax machine, every business phone. So based on those numbers, and those could go up and down from year to year, but based on those numbers, if you went up to 50 cents, you could expect to collect a little over $145,000. You know, and if we went all the way to $3, it's just $872,000. Now, anything over 42 cents is going to require a vote of the people. So the county board can institute anywhere from 0 to 42 themselves by resolution, which we did. So we do collect the 42 cents. As far as millages, based on the 2024 total taxable value of Leelanau County, which is just shy of $4 billion. If we were to pursue a millage, just to cover the overall operating budget of 911, we'd be seeking 0.4 of a mil. When I come before you for the May deadline, whether it be March or February, we need to have these kind of conversations before that, because that meeting, it's already too late. So I'm glad that we're able to put this before you in order to have the board decide how they would like to move forward, whether they want to stay the same or pursue some kind of change. And with that, that's the last of my presentation. The only other thing that I did not put in the presentation was my request in the board proposal for lead dispatcher positions. We can continue to discuss that, or it can be discussed offline. But with that, I'll take questions.
Could he summarize his position or the request again on the dispatchers?
Absolutely. So for the lead dispatchers, it's important for Kelly and I to be able to have assistance in performing quality assurance functions for the dispatchers. It's literally impossible for us to be able to review enough calls to ensure that everything is running according to policy and procedure. We're able to review a small percentage right now. Having the lead dispatchers in place would ensure that we'd be able to catch not only call reviews, but to make sure that all the information is put into the CAD system correctly, that radio procedures are being followed and other policies and procedures are followed correctly. As it sits right now, the dispatchers union feels that that is a managerial responsibility, and therefore we need to pursue a different classification in order for that to occur. So having the lead dispatchers would assist Kelly and I and be able to have that accomplished. We're not looking to create new staffing levels, just reclassify 3 or 4 dispatchers as lead dispatchers.
So I didn't see a, I'm sorry, I didn't see a total, how much would that cost? Total cost.
It kind of depends on how the discussions go. I'm looking for only a few dollars an hour more.
$3 an hour, I don't
Yeah.
know what that means, so, you know, because we're looking at an annual
Mhm.
number.
I can get you that information.
Do you have candidates that are available right now?
I would open it up for dispatchers to apply for that. I don't want to force it on anybody. So we would be able to get the interested candidates in order to fill those positions. We've been told that there would be interest. So I'm confident we'd be able to fill those positions.
And would it be while they're a dispatcher, they would be also in this position?
Yes,
So they'd be doing both things at the same time?
correct.
May just be.
Yeah, they would have a
Just
little
be
bit more.
somebody in charge when you guys aren't there.
Yeah, I mean, they would have more, I don't want to say authority, but they definitely would have more responsibility in that chair.
And I think this is the first time certainly it's the first time I've sat through your presentation from this side. Was this a typical presentation for you? You seem a bit on the defense as far as contracting out services or working with other counties. I wondered if between that and the discussion on increasing the per line amount, is that something you always come up with, or is this a little bit different than other presentations?
This is the first time I've ever had to do this. Yeah, so the every other year that I've had before the board is just, I want you to talk about this portion of your budget. So whatever project I had, and then this year we were provided a much more broad. So I wanted to make sure that we're able to encompass everything that the board would need to make decisions that they need for the future. And it was not my intention to come across as defensive, but I think that you need to have that information.
I agree. I'm glad you did. I just wondered if it was typical or if I.
No, this is the first time.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Could you send us a bar?
I can absolutely do that.
That'd be great. So I made some of those numbers. Kathy?
So in Matt's presentation, he mentioned the Flex server, which is on the CIP in the year 2028. Do you want that to come, since he brought it here, do you want it on your list for consideration or just note that it's on the CIP for 2028?
What's everybody's consensus on that?
I spoke my mind on what I think is best on this.
Did you intend for it to be this year, Matt? or-
No, not the Flex server. That was definitely a longer term project.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll leave that then.
Keep it on the CIP then, okay. And then the tower deconstruction that you presented is on the CIP for 2029.
Is that something you would request? to move up?
It is not an absolute need. I am good putting that on the back burner. It can be something that the board is able to handle in a future time.
Don't.
So keep
I'd
it
like
on
to
the
see it on the
CIP.
soon myself.
We
It's,
can do it tomorrow if you want.
So what's
We
the
don't need to-
consensus for the rest of the board now on that?
I just have a question. Can I ask a question? I know that, because it is a little bit different with how everything is kind of, with presentations. So Matt has 3 funds in your other funds. So in your special funds, he has the 232, she has more than that, the 232, the 233, the 234. He has the 468, which is to construct the towers. 518 is his current tower collection and maintenance. So it's possible that with them presenting and Administrator Dyer coming together, that 80,000 could come from the tower fund, which is not general fund related and not 911 related. I just wanted to do that tidbit.
All right. What's everybody's consensus on the deconstruction of the tower?
That makes it different.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see it get done. I don't like to see the
So
two
you-
towers up. And it's been way too long, in my estimation, that they've been sitting there like that.
Everybody good with getting it on the CIP for this next budget?
Yeah.
I'll put it on your working
All
list
right,
here.
Put it on the working list. and then-
Okay. And then the one thing that was in Matt's narrative that he didn't talk about is he would like to perhaps surplus sell your car that you use now.
Oh, yeah, if they're, I know that the sheriff's office rotates out their vehicles. There's a few that are coming due this next year that would be a better fit for us. And if we knew ahead of time, we wouldn't have to take so much equipment out of that vehicle in order for us to use it again. So taking it out and putting it back in, we don't have to pay twice. So it'd just be good for us to be able to know that.
It's on your list for consideration. Okay.
Any other questions for Matt?
Thank you very
And
much.
in your
Appreciate it.
special funds tab, the 232 is page 8 of 74 under special funds. If you want to start going through the special funds for those budgets, if you'd like to look there, it's on page 8 of 74, starting with his fund 232, which is dispatch.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Matt.
you. Appreciate it.
Rescue my power cord.
8 of 74. Yep, we can take a quick 5-minute break.
Thank you.
Staying on schedule here for lunch.
Forever she knows. I know it does amaze me.
I just commented on you railing off those account numbers.
Thanks. I was gonna put my hand up too earlier, but because I think when we were looking at the 911 dashboard, I'm wondering if it's encompassing emergency services, which purple is under. Because certain counties, emergency services and 911, where ours is general, and then another fund. So I'm not sure if when our audit goes through,
Because it was so much larger.
yes, that doesn't make sense when you put those numbers up, and that's what my brain was thinking.
Thank you. You know,
There's a presentation.
Yeah.
Oh.
Screens. So we all have the screens.
So we should move to Grand Traverse County.
Well, you know what? You know, my thing that, you know, my whole thing, without money, just put one right in. I can't do a state shop. Yeah.
They just go visit.
Yeah. Yeah.
They record on that, and that's what they rebroadcast after the highest. The other option. Could do that. Like, do a big matrix. You guys would be the only ones who see it.
No. I'm independent.
No problem.
That's what I was gonna say.
That's how I did
Okay, if you ever want help with one, we can propose one together. Just gotta put it in the office.
Okay.
That was a nice presentation.
Cue it, but.
All right. Yeah, no, I appreciate you thinking.
I was gonna ask you to, how you went to my hardest part.
I just think that spread that comes around. I'm hearing a lot of yes, and I wonder if you don't do
Our last first 2 weeks, extremely good.
Kind of fill in the coordinator role. The volunteer providers on first and responsible.
Yeah.
One of the objectives is find a site to essentially create funds
Yeah.
for parks, schools, parks.
Someone to pick up that ball.
So I want to really ask to add that staff person to start working on it.
The volunteer. You want like.
Those positions call for staff.
kind of like starting.
Lays out kind of like the role of the- So,
I look at it, it's just gonna
Like someone who's like that ball. I'm just thinking that would be someone that would. That I could coordinate. You know. Do you have someone?
Yeah, we're in that training.
So I was Costa Rica. Oh, is that what that means, right?
No, that's just me and then this fellow that's a wheelchair, that's his.
Oh, okay.
Is that the first time you ever went? First time he ever went.
This is the goal and objective.
We're going to be pushed it to the limit. We did.
Oh, yeah, you got one. Let me know.
Yeah,
Yeah. I would ask you, I was taking that.
Somebody else has to work on this.
The hard part is finding someone that works.
That's really starting all over again. And especially with the encrypted stuff. going on.
Everybody says it has to be a staff person. Volunteer coordinator is.
Okay.
It is increased.
Yeah, because they.
Was there?
Number on that sheet. Guys, do it all there. What are the options?
I would rather have,
Actually, I can see under this.
I would like a full-time person. I mean, like you said, call it whatever you want. If we can't hire one, might as well make one.
Last year.
All right. That's gonna be the ask when I look at it.
Oh, was it?
On board sometime.
I was gonna throw him an ad. You could, I mean, we can send us with find someone who's been working here.
And I don't know what. We're gonna flesh this out for a while.
Okay,
Position statements.
well, I can help craft it. Okay, no,
What the
that.
skill set is. Before you.
Probably looking for a parts, someone with like a parts and service.
It's so expensive. How do you?
Right. That's where I'm at.
Okay, yeah.
That's good. We'll have that whole thing set all around.
Next Wednesday starts, it was all green. Just lived in health. Yeah, that was strange. I never mentioned.
Have fun.
That's fine. Great job.
Every time.
I'll hit you in front of all these people.
Doing pretty good, Rick.
We still do use.
That's Thursday.
They're gonna overuse today.
You got your Bible.
Okay, good.
And he's gonna be under your general fund expenditures. So he's gonna be under the. Yeah. No, he's gonna be under public safety. Yes. That should be the very.
I should have looked under them. I should have looked under those special funds. I'm going. I'd be here somewhere. I mean, I could gather a lot of it, like I have to gather the main number from his report in the back.
The rental is your lease agreement that you do for just your cars. So the rent you're paying back, yes. The motor pool. Yep. So that's what they budget, depending on how many vehicles they have. It's kind of as many each year.
People like having that much information on one page.
It's up to you if you want to start. I don't
That
know.
much history. Follow if you're all crazy, you say all the way through.
You wanna start? Okay.
Yeah, no, every other year, as an election or whatever.
You're on pause.
On pause.
You're on, yeah, you're no longer paused.
All right, we'll get back in session here. We'll note the numbers that Commissioner Russell gave on the 911. The reason that was so high was because of ARPA dollars, so I just want to make that clear, just in case someone's watching or whatever, so.
Because of what?
ARPA dollars were included in that for some reason, so that's why it was so high. So we're back on track, so. All right, with that, welcome, guys. We'll get to begin, so.
Afternoon, we're starting a little bit late, so I'll rush through this pretty quickly. We can go flip the next slide. You know who we all are here and what we're here for, budget requests.
So staffing requests, we're looking to reallocate the Traverse Narcotics Team budget position to School Resource Officer, SRO position. The Traverse Narcotics Team position was originally funded by the Burn Grant, which paid for most of that drug enforcement service contract. And over the years, less and less to the point where you're basically paying for the TNT position plus the vehicle. Because the state of Michigan State Police provided vehicles before, now we have to buy our own. So it got to be expensive. And with less than 10 cases a year coming from TNT, we're looking at reallocating that position to bring in the school resource officer. We have 8 schools in the county. Like to see more presence in the schools. Minneapolis can happen anywhere. Walmart can happen anywhere. Utah can happen anywhere. The more we're in the schools, the more we support the staff, the students, and it gives their families great comfort to know we're in the schools, we're walking, we're working the schools. So that's our goal for that. We're looking at creating an officer managed position, level 2 with Teamsters Union. Joanna Novak she's doing a wonderful job for us. You all know her. She worked over here on the other side, and she's just doing a wonderful job. But she basically supervises our part-time person, sets up the scheduling, works with the undersheriff on schedules and so forth. And she basically runs the office. So we're looking to do that. Review and adjust pay scales for sheriff and undersheriff commensurate with staff. Marine Patrol Division staffing adjustment to include a supervisor. We basically have a Marine Division with, if you will, 3 3-month workers and 1 6-month worker. It's not per se a supervisory position. Supervisors we've had in the past have retired, the last one being Wayne Eddington. And before that, it was Paul Rabori, and before that, on and on, went back to Charlie Belangi and further from that. So it's pretty difficult for them. They get office duties, they get supervisory responsibilities, they get equipment and maintenance schedules, and they're there longer. So we're trying to look at the Marine positions to bring in some new people to our staff. We had 2 Marine deputies, 1 worked last year and 1 worked again this year with a new guy. So we have them both in the police academy now at NMC. They'll be fresh new deputies by December. They'll be out of the academy after their FTO and training periods. It'll be mid next year before they're operational deputies. We can hand them the car and say, go. So it's something we have to work on, and that Marine Division gives us the ability to do that. We also have temporary employment there. We can't spend, we don't have the budget to basically say we have full-time Marine deputies. We don't need them in the winter. If we don't have snowmobile issue, we don't have an ORV issue. It's primarily Marine and Marine safety. It's very important in this county. Just looking at the picture, Leelanau up there, self-explanatory, 2,032 surface miles of Lake Michigan cover, plus all the inland lakes, plus increasing traffic continuously. And just wait until this coming year when this M22 project's done, you're gonna see a whole lot more people in this county. We did have 1 drowning in this county so far this year. It was a person who fell off in a marina in Sutton's Bay after social gathering, had nothing to do with operating the boat or anything. We don't know if they fell off the dock or what, but they did lose 1 person. It's considered a drowning. But I give total credit to these Marine deputies and the patrols they've done over the years. We have 0 tolerance policy for life jackets, and that has made all the difference in the world because our drownings in the past, primarily canoes and kayaks and rafts, and we're just not having the drowning incidents. So it's good. Next slide, please. Okay, request to reallocate TNT defective funding to school resource SRO program position. Leelanau County has supported TNT team for decades, originally fully grant funded, now largely county funded in 2022, full salary funded by the county. So it's no longer a burn grant issue. It's now something that we're doing. Vehicles purchased by us, $2,000 annual maintenance fee. Total cost is about $100,000 a year to have a TNT deputy. We are short on the roadside. We're getting more and more population, more and more mental health and other issues going on in the county. So we need those resources here, not working down in Cadillac and over Kalkaska as much. It's been a regional position. It's very effective. It's supported and maintained and managed by the Michigan State Police, which is awesome. But these are our dollars. We need the people here. We're shorthanded. It's hard to hire new deputies. It's hard to keep deputies. So we think it's a good move. TNT generated somewhere between 4 and 10 cases per year in Leelanau County. Get valuable experience for our deputies. They get to raid entry school. They learn to do operational techniques for the state police. They learn to use a lot of surreptitious methods and undercover vehicles. It's good, but it really has had minimal direct effect to Leelanau County citizens in the last couple of years. And our TNT deputy just left us to go to another agency about 2 weeks ago. So we have no one at this time who wants to be in TNT. And there's 2 things you don't force people into doing: SWAT and TNT.
You don't say you put your life on line every day and do this very dangerous stuff, or you grow a beard and put earrings on and you are now gonna live in the drug community for 2 to 3 years. So that's the kind of thing, if you want to do that, you want the experience, it's great for us because they get more training, but it beats you up a little bit financially. Next slide, please. Proposed change school resource officer deputy SRO, redirect the TNT funds to a full-time SRO. Now, when I say full-time SRO, when there's school problems, that's the person who handles it. He or she would go on those school calls. If they have vapes at this school and this school over here, they spray paint the building. This school over here, criminal sexual conduct with the computers, a lot of that's going on in our schools. We feel that with these 8 schools, having that deputy's boots on the ground is very important. I did 74 visits to school last year, my boots on the ground, walking to schools. And I'd like to know the other deputies are rotating in and out, but they're being continuously tied up by mental health calls, car accidents, and so on and so forth. So I really think if we had one person focused on that, that would help our schools a lot. And we need to send a message clear to the community what our students, our staff at schools, and our parents, how important schools and children are to us. SRO would serve all 8 schools. Duties include criminal investigation, educational support, public relations, relationship with building, students, staff, investigating school-related complaints on or off school grounds, establish safe, healthy school environments, greater long-term impact on youth, and drug-related cases still handled in-house as needed. We do have a detective. We have just reassigned a second detective who will be starting after the first of the year. They use the Celebrite system to analyze computers and phones and the internet crimes that are going on. And honestly, most of the crime going on with kids are getting caught up in a lot of sexual deviancy, even if they don't know they are. Some know and are fully aware, and some are being taken advantage of. And that's a zero tolerance thing to me. So next slide, please. SRO versus TNT detective. SRO provides a broader preventive community-based approach. You're in your own schools. You're not in Cadillac, Kalkaska, or Benzie. Not that those places aren't important, but if we're not getting that many cases, we feel those resources would be better focused here. Officers' daily presence and support, they wouldn't be on any schedule. I would make their schedule flexible. They want to start 6 in the morning, 2 days this week, and then start at noon, 2 days later in the week. That's fine, because it gives the appearance there in the schools at all hours of the day and night. They can be there before the buses arrive. They can be there after a school board meeting. They can be there during an athletic event. So it spreads them out, at least to the visual context of the public, as well as the bad people who are out there thinking about things, or if something's on their mind. Never know when the black uniform is going to come around the corner. Drug enforcement remains top priority, but not outsourced. Again, that would be still drug enforcement. However, it would not be outsourced to state police, or we wouldn't be doing drug enforcement of the schools. And SRO is better suited for lasting impact. If you put your time, money, and effort into your kids and your community, and we have very few kids here proportionally, we have mostly a senior citizen type community. We need to support the schools. I can tell you that the superintendents, the teachers, everywhere, everything is positive and friendly, and we're getting good cooperation with the schools. We want to keep that up. Next slide, please. Budgetary impact, potential budget decrease, estimated 5,000 in overtime savings, minimal increases in other categories. Final budget details will be worked out with finance office, and vehicle request part of a separate budget discussion, which we'll get into in a bit. Next slide, please. Create office manager position as a grade level 2 with Teamsters Union. And basically what Joanna is doing right now, it's if you will, 2-person department right now. Joanna supervises it and Mary comes in. She works 4 hours a day. All right. First presented BOC as executive session on August 8, 2025, which time it was tabled for a budget discussion within the sheriff's authority to create this position through corporate counsel's advice. I don't want to do that without your permission, your understanding, your knowledge of it. I don't want to just say, yep, we're doing that. So originally brought before the union and county negotiation team, fall 25, was never discussed as part of the new contract with Teamsters. Request is similar to the organization within the MSU extension. So if you will, I'm office manager with supervisory responsibilities, and be 1 part-time secretary. So the part-time would not change. It's a 4-hour day position in the office manager. And I can tell you that most sheriffs have their own personal secretary. Around 83 counties, they have 1 person basically answering the phone for them doing that. I do all of that. Joanna takes care of everybody, but I don't have my personal secretary there. So we have, this staff is wonderful. Both lieutenants, the undersheriff, everybody takes something on their shoulders and we run with it as a team. We don't We don't draw lines and say that's yours, that's mine. We assign things based on your ability to do it. So it's been very, very effective. Next slide, please. Office manager responsibilities have increased tremendously over the last several years. The cog in the wheel, the sheriff's officer responsibility for entry and dissemination of day-to-day operations, reports, and records. Fingerprinting, not only for our county, but for Grand Traverse County, who no longer does it. All the new reports due for, there's Mitten, and there's a variety of, there's a Spillman system. That person has to be like a little computer sitting over there, answer all questions, handle things between phone calls, people coming in for concealed pistol permits, information, or people coming in trying to visit people who are in jail, or people coming in for fingerprints. They're answering the phone, they're typing reports, they have the earbuds in. It's a busy job. And if you want to just sit there for 4 or 8 hours, you just sit there quietly like a fly on the wall, I think you'd find it very interesting. You'd understand why we're trying to do this. Access to all IT systems for reports, record keeping, statistical purposes. Acts as administrative assistant to the sheriff. Again, minimally, I ask her sometimes to do things, but for the most part, she operates independently because she doesn't have time to be my babysitter. She doesn't have time to answer my phone calls. So it's a completely different model than a lot of the places where I've worked in the past. A new job description has been drafted and approved by corporate counsel. Next slide, please. Budgetary impacts for 2026, grade 1, year 3 pay is slated at $26.72. For 2026, grade 2, year 3 pay is $30.70. So it's approximately $4 more an hour. And she would be the office supervisor at that point. Impact for 2026 budget is approximately $8,278. Next slide. Thank you, by the way, Lauren, appreciate how you're doing this. Review and adjust pay scales for sheriff and undersheriff commensurate with staff. Upon ratification of the latest contracts, sheriff and undersheriff positions are undercompensated and in certain circumstances paid less than salaried employees they supervise. Advise to bring this issue before the BOC at budget time. Currently only paid as salaried employees 3 to 5% higher than their subordinates. National averages per position indicate those should be in the 8 to 12% range. Next slide, please. Marine Division staffing adjustment request to adjust the approved staffing levels within the Marine Division. Goal, formalize a structure that better supports operations supervision. Current staffing levels, 4 seasonal Marine deputy positions, typically college age seasonal hires, occasionally experienced retirement age individual, unofficially serving as commander. Again, you're asking a person to supervise, go over reports and dailies, and schedule people. You're adding quite a bit of responsibility to that person that's tagged, if you will, as Marine commander. Next slide, please. School supervisor commander, assist sheriff's administration with scheduling, fleet maintenance and upkeep, operational planning for events, daily oversight and activity reviews, position not officially budgeted, and it's been filled in consistently over the years. And you know, those boats you see, there's a 35-year-old boat out there. They just did a complete resurfacing of the finish, did a wonderful job, all manual labor with polishing wheels. It's 35-year-old boat. It looks, I mean, tremendously good. The 19-footer, again, that's a 4 or 5-year-old boat. That's beautiful. The safe boat is kept in perfect condition. I was down there today at noon with some people, looked at it. The ropes are all coiled up perfectly. Everything's tied off properly. The windows are clean. The spiders are all boat. And that's a lot of maintenance you don't see. You just see a patrol boat out there on Glen Lake, Lake Leelanau, or Lake Michigan. We've had multiple rescues this year, multiple reasons to have the boats in the Great Lakes, as well as a lot of patrol in the lakes where most of your drownings will occur. So they're doing a great job with maintenance, not just patrol. Next slide, please. Proposed staffing adjustment, change from 4 Marine deputies to 3 Marine deputies and 1 Marine supervisor. Marine supervisor formalized commander role. Marine supervisor would have the same pay scale as Marine deputies, same pay scale, because when you hire them, they're at 1 level each year, they go up for 3 years. Always compensated at top step of current pay scale. So instead, if I hired a Marine supervisor, for instance, Wayne Eddington was a retired state police lieutenant. Paul Rabori was a retired Michigan conservation officer. They did the careers there. They bring a lot of institutional knowledge to us. And when they do that, they come in, we're starting them at the groveling level, if you will, where we start college students or high school students. A couple of weeks ago, we just hired a high school student who's at Glen Lake School. He's graduating, he's doing online college. So he's working every day on the boats and learning the craft. He will be with us for 3 years while he's in college, and he wants to go in the ATF after that. But for 3 summers, we now have someone we can count on. We hired last year, so his first year was this year, Steve Freeman. He's our acting Marine commander, if you will. He's doing a wonderful job. He's a engineer executive type from Ford and works with other companies. He's up here, he lived here, he's interested in a job. He's doing a 6-month job for us, was not his intention. He would like to go back to being a regular Marine deputy. So we have a deputy who's gonna retire on March 26th from March 16th from the Corrections Division. And if he is gone for 60 days, we can rehire him back. He has said he would like to be the Marine commander. And that would be Kerry Garten, and he would be outstanding for it because he's operated boats his whole life. He's into hunting and fishing and outdoors. This would be a good gig for him to do while he's retired, and he could still hunt in the fall and take his family out to Texas or Florida in the winter. It's a good gig for him. It will work out well for us because of his institutional knowledge, his ability to manage people. He's currently a senior staff sergeant in our jail system. So Kerry is an asset that's hard to describe. When you can get a Kerry Garten to take over something like that, you're in good shape. All right, reflects additional responsibilities. I think you get what I'm saying with that. We have to have somebody sort of lead the pack. All right, next slide, please. Budgetary impact, minimal budgetary impact, 1 Marine deputy already compensated at top pay level. This request reallocates, not expands resources. So we think we can do it within our existing budgets as it is, which is a good thing. And we have some real good news we just got from DNR today, or yesterday, whatever, federal grant for marine safety. The federal grant was held up from us earlier this year. And we've been frustrated all year, emails and phone calls and what's happening. It has to do with federal funding and all the grant cuts and so forth. We just found out we got additional, which we'll bring up to the agenda this evening, but we're getting the money we thought we'd have to start the year, we're getting it. So again, that tends to build up that phone. We also had a tremendous donation from an individual, which you saw a month ago, helped us with operational needs. And by the way, both motors are up and running. The boat's running great. The boat looks, they've all polished up and clean. While the motor's down, they basically tore it apart, cleaned it up, put it back. Looks like a new boat. Next budget slide, please. Summary and recommendation. This improves the consistency and oversight within the Marine Division, aligns pay with responsibility, formalizing an already essential role, request approve the staffing change. So we just request that you understand why we need a leader within that team. Next slide, please. Inventory equipment requests. Agencies firearms platform upgrade, annual patrol vehicle purchase, request to permanently reallocate vehicle to Marine Patrol. All right, agency firearms platform upgrade. We are carrying 6-hour P229 RDAKs. They're 40 caliber 6-hour pistols. Looking at Brownells, Todd Roush, the jail lieutenant, is our armor for our outfit. He does our ordering, our parts, our service, and so on and so forth. He and I are the only 2 armors in the agency. I'm tied up with other things. This is in his shelf. He called Brownells to find out what parts are available. And out of 20-some parts, only 2 to 3 are available right now. They're basically discontinuing this model. Without taking guns out, it has a Picatinny rail on the bottom, you put lights on. We've been trying to put lights on guns for 1.5 years. We tried to get holster companies, Safari Land and Alien Gear and a bunch of companies. We try to get them so they produce a holster for us so we can put a light on a gun. Why is that important? If we're involved in shooting in dim light, crepuscular time periods or night, or in a building in a basement, if you draw, there's gunfire, something's going on, you're in there, you draw your weapon. You want to make sure someone's not pulling their pocket, pulling their cell phone out. It's dark, you got a dark object coming out of the phone. It's very important to have a light on a weapon. We bought the lights 2 years ago out of our regular budget. So we have the lights. We then upgraded the lights. They let us trade in. We had some good connections where we bought them. They upgraded to 1,000 lumen lights, and they're like the latest, best, good lights you can put on. They'll fit on this gun. No one will make a holster for it because no one's selling these guns anymore. So we're looking to upgrade. We did weapons testing, ammunition development testing a few weeks ago, actually over the last several months, but a few weeks ago it culminated. We chose the Glock Model 45 with a green dot sight, not a laser sight, but illuminated sight. And the Glock Model 45 would have the, what people refer to as red dot, could be red or green. There are people in the agency with stigmatisms, not saying anything about age with certain people, but basically with astigmatism, it's easier to see a green dot than a red Maksnikas to me. I just, no difference. So green, red, I don't care. What do you guys want? We went with the weapons platform. The whole industry is going to 9mm. They're going away from 40 caliber because 9 has less recoil. You can carry more rounds with you, and the ammunition, frankly, is substantially cheaper. So the industry is going that way, to the point where the state of Michigan contract no longer supports 40 caliber. So we can buy 9 or 45, 308, 5.56, but we can no longer buy 40 caliber. So now we have to pay more for the ammo. So it's a good time to make this switch. We're probably the last agency in the region, other than Benzie County, that's not switched to the 9mm platform yet with lights, red dots or green dots. So that's where that's going. Annual patrol vehicle purchase. Patrol vehicle purchase, I'll let the undersheriff go into that when you have questions on that. Basically, we're looking at 4 vehicles. We replace them when they get, when they get up the mileage, they get 125, 130, 140,000. We do this change up. This year would be 1 additional vehicle, because if you fund our SRO position, we took the truck that was the undercover truck, was a black Ford pickup, exactly like the model we use for Marine now. We put it in the Marine Division because we were operating with a gray Ford Explorer that was confiscated from a drug arrest way back when Clint Kerr was here. And that vehicle basically is worn out. It's gone, it's shot, it's done. So we were 1 shy vehicle for Marine safety. So we took the TNT truck, we put it into Marine safety. So we need 1 more vehicle for the road, because that thing brings us up back to 2 when we lost the 1 for the drug seizure, brings us back 2, and we need 2 for the patrol boats. And request to permanently reallocate, same sentence. Basically, we're just moving that from the Traverse Narcotics team position into that. Next slide, please. Justification for new handguns with optics, wet mounted lights. I went over a lot of that. Officer safety and public protection. Current duty handguns outdated. Current duty handguns have been discontinued by the manufacturer. Parts are difficult to find. Like anything else, there's planned obsolescence, and then there's just, we don't support that anymore. Those of you that went through the iterations of Windows know what I'm talking about. Same thing with firearms. Modern equipment significantly improves officer safety and public safety. Why they say it, you illuminate your target, plus you can identify your target and shoot more accurately with the dot sights. Ammunition for here you do it. Handguns no longer available. And so we went over that. Next slide, please. Our request to the board, approve funding for 40 upgraded Glock 45 handguns with optics and lights, 24 Glock 43X backup handguns, and 40 alien gear holsters, training and duty ammunition. It's a changeover. When you change a gun, you have to change everything, the holster, the ammo, everything. And we're not running with multi-calibers, corrections division with 40s, road division with 9s, and so on and so forth. It's consistency. There's also a safety factor. A 9mm round, 355 thousandths of an inch. It will fit in a 40 caliber weapon, which is 400 thousandths of an inch. If you mix those up, you're busy, you're daydreaming, you have 2 sorts of inventory, you can put the wrong one and create a explosive situation. It's a very dangerous situation. All right. Support modernization of critical law enforcement tools, help ensure the highest standards for safety and performance. And believe me, it's a recruiting factor as well. Several people have left this agency in the last few years, primarily because they can't afford to live here. Not that they don't like what's going on, not that they don't like you, they just can't afford to live here. And it's a dilemma. And then they'll say, well, they have red dots and their pistols down here. Well, they have Glocks. We don't have lights on our guns. And if we're in a dark alley at night, are we going to get sued if we shoot the wrong person? There's a lot of parameters, but it is all, believe it or not, part of recruiting. Next slide, please. Limitations of existing firearms. I've gone over that. I don't think you can ask me questions at the end if you have questions over it. I am a firearms tactics expert. I'm a firearms tactics consultant. I've done things. I understand the weapon system. I know a lot of you do as well. I'm saying it's time that we move and change, and we're pretty much the last in the region, again, other than Benzie County. Next slide, please. Benefits of red dots. Do you understand what I'm talking about? On top of a gun, there's a dot. So when you look through it, you're looking at a red dot, or in our case, a green dot, and that goes on the target. Target acquisition, when you're looking at someone and someone else is yelling and who knows what's going on, people crying, yelling in a house, Target acquisition is a two-eye open thing with a red guy. It's called occluded eye gun sight. And your strong eye and your weak eye work together, and your eye projects the dot on what you see with your strong eye. So if your both eyes are open, that dot is right on what you're aiming at, which creates better accuracy, less liability for misses, and it also helps you acquire things quicker. A lot of times simply it's the first one to the trigger. I hate to say that, but that's the real world we live in. Okay, shooting performance under stress, there's survey, there's information about duty involved shootings. Typically, you'll see that people are much more accurate with the red dots, and they're certainly much more accountable when they have a light on their weapon that they can turn on and turn off. We can even strobe our lights. We can go into a room, basically blind people lights and never have to fire a shot. There's 1,000 lumens. It's like someone flashing bright lights on you. You're in a bad situation, you're in a house, and you're just basically blinded. Remember the old days of the cameras with the flash bulbs and the dots on your eyes? That's basically what it does. And that's another advantage we have tactically. Next slide, please. Weapon mount lights, safe decisions. I've gone over those. I could, as a demo, if you want, I can have you hold a gun in your hand, like what they call a blue gun, a train gun, and a light, and tell you as you search a building, as you go to open doors, you don't have a third arm. If you have to look into a closet, how do you do it? You put it under your neck and you go like this, or you put it under your armpit. There's a variety of different methods. It's very difficult. Over the years, did we do it? Yes. Over the years, have there been mistakes? I'm sure there have been. Luckily, we don't have much of that here, but it can happen anywhere, any place, anytime. Okay, next slide. Keep our deputies safe. Responds to calls in low light, no light situations. Optics lights for safety. Tense and rapidly evolving situations, and enhances ability to operate in rural and high-risk environments. Next slide. Staying current with law enforcement standards. Most agencies already do this. Federal, state, and neighboring agencies are upgrading at all levels: tribal, federal, state, local, national park. Staying competitive in recruitment and retention. I already mentioned that. Next slide. Cost breakdown, approximate cost upgrade to agency, primarily weapons, optics, lights, backup handguns, holsters, ammunition. By the way, I hate to do this publicly, but I will tell you, backup pistols right here. It's either in your ankle or it's here, it's in your pocket or somewhere. It's not fun to wear all these plates and armor and knives and first aid kits and tourniquets we have in there. This thing rubs on your arm all day long, but again, in emergency situations, we need it. The total cost is approximately $52,224. Does that include the turn-ins, Todd?
Yes.
That includes the turn-ins, okay. Contract that went into effect 10/1/25, reduced liability, priceless. Next slide, please. 2025 patrol vehicle purchases, request purchase 4 new patrol vehicles, 3 for general patrol, 1 for school resource officer, SRO as discussed earlier. 3 older model patrol vehicles will be retired. 1 vehicle is in addition to the fleet. Vehicle pricing under Macomb County State bid supplier Lunghammer out of Ford in Owasso. Limited transfer equipment from older units. And that's important too, limited transfer. We're buying the same model year after year, the Ford Explorer Interceptor model. So all these consoles and all these retrofits and the stuff that fits under the seat and all the wiring, you want to stay very consistent. And the undersheriff is in charge of that program. He has done a wonderful job doing that. And that's very, very important. He's also assisted by Sergeant Andy Bosher, who does the vehicle fleet maintenance and again, additional responsibilities. They're doing a great job. 1 vehicle built from ground up to include a new 800 megahertz radio. Next slide, please. Marketing cost impact, post-COVID cost increases due to related, like everything else, everything's going up. Higher manufacturing logistic costs includes installation, new and removal from old vehicles, conditional vehicle addition. 4th, vehicle only needed if TNT truck is moved to Marine Patrol, which is essential that we have this separate truck in there, and linked to other 2026 budget requests. Next slide. Vehicle sales and decommissioning. Resale value of 6,000 to 10,000 per decommissioned vehicle. 2016 to 2019 to be sold to spring of 26. Money comes back to the county general fund or pool. Sales handled by the county aligned with industry standards and insurance guidelines. And that's based on, you don't run cars to 200,000 miles. You do in Detroit or Chicago because they're doing 5, 10, 20 miles an hour. They're all in city streets. They're everywhere. Up here, when you have a heart attack going on or an Alzheimer's patient in Empire, you're on that call, then you get a call Northport to someone with a knife fighting or someone on a tribe or someone in Suttons Bay. They go to transverse the county, dodge deer, run around and through traffic safely, and carefully, you've got to have great brakes, great handling, great operational skills, emergency vehicle operation training, which we continue to do. It's all like a part of a large package. And if you notice, we're not having a lot of problems with anything. We're not having problems with abuse of power, unjustified use of force, even bad behavior. Our deputies are just doing a great job as an agency. And I feel like one of the reasons people come here is not just because of that photo. People continually tell us we love it here. We've never felt this safe in our life. And that's what your public is telling us continuously. This place, I heard a new deputy today from North Carolina. I took him to lunch in Leland, showed him the new patrol boat, talked to him, started introducing people. He said, where I come from in North Carolina, I've never seen anything like this. Everybody's, God bless you. Thank you for your service. We appreciate you guys. We love it here. We're glad we're here. That's what we want to keep doing here. We don't want to go through this up and down stuff. Okay, next slide, please. Total cost breakdown for patrol units. You've seen the math on that. I think that's pretty serious. It's a motor pool fund request for $252.68, and we can't control the price for Ford. We can't control the price for Motorola. There's certain things we're locked in. We're doing our best. We have a great vendor doing our radio service down in Traverse. Everything's going well, but it is what it is on the cost. Next slide, please. Request to permanently relocate vehicle to Marine Patrol. I've been over that. Historically, it's a one vehicle, but it really wasn't, because we had a second vehicle that was the, if you will, confiscated from the drug house. And we knew someday that would be done, right? And when that vehicle's worn out, we seized a house not too long ago on M22. It was a second offense, methamphetamine and cocaine delivery. And on a second offense, delivery, the guy had already been in prison for it, came right back out and operated again, including other people with him. So I was in there on that. We did it. The house was seized by Traverse Narcotics team, and they split the funding up around the different units. So even though it occurred in Leelanau, even though it was our case from the beginning, it was the guy's back in prison, but even though it was our case and they forfeited their home in M22, the money was still split up between all the entities. It didn't come back just to Leelanau. Okay. Let's see, I think that's pretty clear. We've got to have that second vehicle there, and that's our way of doing it, having transferred that over there. All right, next slide, please. Proposed vehicle reallocation, relocate 2023 Ford F-150. That was our undercover vehicle. It's a black pickup truck. We have since changed it out, and we've put all the radio flashes stuff we needed for it. And we now have emblems on the side, flags, looks like the rest of the vehicle fleet. And TNT position, low priority to refill compared to other needs. Next one. Marine budget implications, expected increase, fuel, maintenance, believed manageable within current budget. So I think that's important. We believe the Marine budget we have now from you and from the DNR is going to stay stable, even though we know there's cost changes and considerations that can fluctuate. If gas goes way down, like they're predicting by this next year, if gas goes way down, we're going to be fat in there, which is really good. We'll have extra money. I think it's gone up to its highest peak, just from my perspective. If it stays stable or goes down, we're a really good position on that. Rentals, that to death, but prices change, costs change. And that's basically what we're doing there. We'll give you specific breakdowns on that. Next slide, please. Board history and forward planning. Temporary use approved by board in April 2025. Revisit plan during 2026 budget discussions. Current request seeks permanent reassignment. Next slide, please. Future vehicle need. Permanent reallocation will create future shortfall. New vehicle needed for TNT SRO by mid to late 2026. That's when their cubs will be getting out of the academy, planning and budgeting needed in advance. Next slide. Summary and recommendation. Waiting for this, right? We're at 33 minutes right now. Approve permanent reallocation of second vehicle to Marine Patrol. That's a big ask. That's not going to cost you a lot, but that's a big ask because we need to make that Marine Division responsive. And we have the boats equipped. We have people. We need to have equipment to get them around. Supports growing operational needs. Cost increases are manageable and plan ahead for future undercover vehicle operations needed. I don't see us having a future undercover officer right away, nor do I see us having a canine deputy right away. We have one person, our entire agency, who's interested in canine, and she just started on a road, just got off probation. You've got to be a cop for a few years, understand, learn roads, people, what we do culturally, before we give you a canine dog and add that additional responsibility on the regular deputy position. So when you have somebody like Greg Horncole, who is an experienced deputy from many, many facets, when he took over as our dog handler, it was easy. Ryan Lott, it was easy. Jordan Strope, it was easier. And Cam Driswicki doing a wonderful job with his dog. And we have good people in the past. Right now, we have nobody ready for it. So I don't anticipate using it. Excuse me. I guess that's pretty much. Is there another slide?
That's it.
That's it. I guess that's it. That's a lot talking in 34 minutes. I know you're gonna have questions, but hopefully, I flew in from Costa Rica at 5 o'clock this morning. I was there with 5 days with my wife. She wanted a thing at her work where they could take spouses. And so 18 of us from her work went, and I was luggage handler, whatever. It didn't cost anything, but I flew in this morning, so my voice is a little off, so beg your forgiveness.
All right, do we have any questions?
Effect on TNT. I mean, how do they feel about?
They're not happy.
Yeah.
And I was, I've been functioning with the board people. We go to all the meetings. They really want us to stay in it.
Yeah.
But I also will take care of this turf first.
Mhm.
If we had 1/3 of the arrests in drug houses, it'd be one thing, but we're talking 4 to 10 cases a year. Let's face it, most of the meth is down in Wexford, it's in Grand Traverse and Kalkaska, so in Benzie. It's scattered around the region. And the farther south you go, especially south, extreme southwest, southeast, there's more and more drugs. We're pretty lucky here. Our drug problem is here, no question about it. Our deputies are able to handle it right now. We've got good detectives working on long-term cases. My biggest concern is schools, because pot smoking, marijuana smoking, THC, whatever you want to call it, is a gateway drug. And we are seeing more and more people using marijuana, THC, than they are alcohol. When I was in school and college, it was all alcohol, this much drug. Now it's probably more drugs than alcohol. So that's got to remain a top priority for us, because when you're a kid, you're stupid. I don't care what anybody says. We're all stupid. At that age, you do things, you hang out with friends, you make mistakes, you sort of feel your way around life. And I think if you're feeling your way around life with too much beer, you throw up. You start drinking whiskey, you get a headache, lasts for 2 days. But you start messing around with buying drugs from people on the street. I don't care if it's cocaine, methamphetamine, I don't care what it is. When the dealers cut it from point to point, and they call stepping on it, each time they sell it, they take a little bit more for Santa Claus, like the old Cheech and Chong song, a little bit more. And then they cut it and they manage it up with using fentanyl, which is coming in by the tons from China through Mexico. It's coming up throughout the country. And until they get a grip on the fentanyl control, you don't know what you're taking. At least with a Budweiser, you know what it is. You drink too much, you're going to throw up. It's just different. It's the drug culture, and the people caught up in the drug culture right now are suffering. These are our own kids, and these are adults too. But they're suffering with the drug situation we have now around this country. So anyway, I hope that answered that.
And
So that just being said, confused, you'd think you'd need a drug officer.
I think our drug enforcement is more important in the schools at this point. Yeah,
Okay. I mean, it
it is.
I mean, just last week in my district, we had a heroin overdose. Information I've been told, the dealer that's been dealing in our county lives in Leelanau. So do we fight that, or do we do the schools? My question on the schools, I see pros and cons. What I've been reading lately is schools are more going to hiring their own security.
Some do.
They still want to be sick. So, I mean, I guess I look at how we're doing it. We got 7 schools?
8, yeah,
8
technically,
schools.
yeah.
Most schools where you have these resource officers are assigned to one school. What I'm worried about is how one officer is going to do justice to every school. And 2, I mean,
does the schools want it? I mean, that's my question too, because school boards change, superintendents change, they have no skin in the game. It's all our taxpayer money. And so I'm a little concerned about that. What I'd like to see, what would probably work best, because sheriffs come and go. Sheriffs have their little quirks, some like firearms, some like boats. And, you know, we don't know what the next sheriff's gonna be. And I don't wanna, this county fought hard. I was around at that time. They fought hard to get this TNT position. And it's gonna be hard to get it back, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
So what I would like to see is, you know, from what you've told me, what, you know, your time is coming to an end, is just make this not a school officer, but assign this to to your detective bureau as a deputy. You have a deputy's position, and then you can do what you want during your remaining term. If you want to put it in schools, you put them in the schools. But maybe the sheriff can make a decision if we're gonna throw away TNT.
It may be a vernacular thing, the way I'm saying it, because that's exactly what I think is what you're saying. I feel like this deputy is gonna be back in our county. Primary emphasis on the schools, but again, you got drugs going out of this school, they're working on that, you're working with a detective hand in hand. I don't like the idea of it being within the detective bureau. I like it being a deputy who specializes in that. And the reason I don't want it in the detective bureau, there's humps where they're very, very slow there. And then there's, in the middle of summer, it's very, very busy. But we're on the same track. I'm not saying it's not important. Right now, we have no one who wants to go into TNT out of the entire outfit, nobody. And that's not something you push somebody into. And if that person were here back in this county working, they would still be a regular deputy with emphasis on the schools, but I track what you're saying, exactly. It's a matter of how it's supervised, and I don't like the model of the being in a detective bureau. Because right now, we basically have just now getting our second detective, and the one who's in is getting very close to retirement, like the one that just left.
The reason I said it, historically, from where I come from, the school officer is assigned to.
Yeah.
And I would, with your suggestion, I mean, if you follow through on what you've suggested, to be honest, from my point of view and from Kathy's point of view, it's a lot easier. You just simply eliminate the TNT budget, which is fully funded county now. There's
Right.
not grant money coming in. There's not other monies coming in. That position simply slides under the general budget, eliminates one current one, but adds the staffing position under the regular general budget.
No, I'm with you on that. I just want to make sure
Yeah.
3 years from now, or whenever the next shift takes over, if he or she wants a TNT position, we don't have to go through this.
You're right, because
Basically, I just give you a position and you do what you want.
that's exactly what I think is like in that position. That may morph and change. That may be more emphasis on the school or more emphasis on TNT, or get someone. We just hired 4 new people, and one of them is probably gonna come up and say, I'm really interested in TNT for a while. It's primarily better for younger people rather than older people. But if we had, what I'm worried about, Commissioner, is losing a deputy, because the reality is no one wants to be in TNT right now. That position wasn't used this year, so we took that truck, put it in Marine, thank God. And then now we have this position. I'm worried about losing. I like the idea, what you're saying, and I get it totally. I understand
I
what
think
you're
we're on
saying.
the same page.
DB. I think we are, absolutely. I just don't want to lose a resource for us. I don't want us to get so we can't handle service calls, let the schools get out of control. I've worked Flint, I've worked Saginaw, I've worked Oakland earlier in my career. I've been a federal agent, I've been a state officer. I can tell you that when you lose turf, it's hard to get back, just like you lose a TNT position, hard to get back. But if you start getting spray painting on buildings, people start getting B&Es, and there's more and more drugs and drug deaths, it's hard to earn that turf back that I think we've earned with our hours and our time and our effort. We've worked very hard. So I know I have 2 minutes left.
All right. Any follow-up questions?
Well, right from the beginning, you had a philosophy where you would have your deputies go in and maybe eat lunch, or, at least there was a presence shown at the school. And I would say that we keep doing that. I don't want to just say now we're gonna hire one officer for that. And at this point, with changing the guns and doing the other things that you're gonna do, take that 1 year of that 100,000 at which you're gonna spend and use it to replace all the things you're gonna do. So that we don't put an officer in, because you're having trouble getting them as it is, according to what you've said. So I'm just thinking that this would be 1 year where we wouldn't add an officer, and that we would just, and just continue as the way we are. I mean, according to national reports, we are the safest county in the nation, or one of the state in the top.
We are, we absolutely are.
And we have more officers, law officers in the county than any other place that I know of per capita.
That's a blessing.
Yeah, which is really good, so.
That's a blessing. I'm on track with you. I'm not looking to lose an officer. I just want to keep our level the same. Manage it in the sense that we manage it that officer's gonna have some flexibility, could be part of the DB, could be part of, we don't want to necessarily lose a TNT position if we just keep there. I'm not asking to add an officer, just not lose an officer.
Mr.
One more
Robbins?
real quick question on firearms. I just learned today from a person in this building that there's been a little mix-up. It's a mistake, no big deal, but there's been a lot of funds going into your phone system there that wasn't accounted for the inmates. This is what I heard.
I don't know what that is
Quite a bit of
about.
money, I've been told, over the years, it's been going in the wrong funds. Why can't we take some of that money that's been put in the wrong fund and pay for your firearms?
I don't know what you're talking about. It's caught me by surprise.
I have a meeting scheduled with Administrator Dyer and the treasurer tomorrow
Okay,
to discuss
that's
that.
from the
That's,
treasurer, so.
yep,
Okay,
yep,
there's
that's
a bunch of
funds
money
that
That's been.
well before my time here,
I'm
the
not thinking
decision
it's a
was,
mistake, I don't care
Sure.
who did it, but
Yep.
a lot of money there that has been.
fix the problem.
Yep.
Yeah, that's news to me, what you just said. Again, not blaming these guys. Of course, when we get out of here, I will, but I've been in Costa Rica 5 days with tried to decompress for 5 days, so I wasn't even aware of that.
All right, any?
Just a quick question. So you would say the school liaison person, officer, would be, would, one of their main charges would be in the prevention of drug use among youth?
Well, yeah, because I know maybe where you're tracking with the opioid funds. Because that's a lot of money sitting in there, because you asked me before, is there anything we need in that? And that kind of goes along with detective work, drug work. We don't necessarily lose a TNT person. I just don't want to lose a person. If we can fund it a little differently or have that occur so that we get, the opioid money has been a personal pet peeve of mine since day one. Because it seems to me opioid money and ARPA money should have been for drug prevention, overdose prevention, addiction treatment, things like that. It seems like it's going to a lot of different directions. And to me, your law enforcement is what prevents that and what communicates that and what puts that barrier wall up. So yes, I think if there's a way to do that and get into some of those funds and add that, I think that's a great idea.
All right. Lieutenant Roush, I'm sure Kiesel, you have anything to add?
no, sir.
Not unless you have questions.
All right, Kathy, you got anything?
No, it all tracked for me.
All right. Any follow-up questions on the board? All right.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, everybody. Thank you.
All right, so we're gonna keep moving here so we can be done here in time. Next, that's it.
Port Charles, waiting all this time.
Right?
Yes,
Right.
right, we are. We're saving the best for last.
I wasn't sure you weren't taking a break.
We gotta keep moving.
All right, well, first, thank you for inviting me to be here. First year that I think the chair of the Parks and Rec Commission has actually come before you to talk about the budget. Usually it's a black box thing that we throw some information into and hope something comes out of it. And so again, thank you. I'm old school. I don't have a PowerPoint presentation for you to look at. So the first thing I want to direct you to is there's a page in there that has some yellow highlighting down on the bottom. And what this is it's a combination of a couple of paragraphs out of the bylaws for the Parks and Rec Commission about staffing that was supposed to be provided by the county, paid county staff. There's supposed to be 2 positions, the first one being a park coordinator. There was a packet that was on your table. So That's currently actually 25% of Patrick Roach's time is charged through Parks and Rec. And that's sort of the person doing that, although I think it's a bigger job than is actually being done at the moment. And will be as we roll into getting a lot of projects hopefully done in the future. The second one is a Parks Recreation Volunteer Coordinator, and that is currently unbudgeted and unfilled. And no one's actually doing the functions that are laid out. The paragraphs below that are actually from our 5-year plan where we laid out a goal and objectives to have essentially friends of the park groups created for each park. And to get more volunteerism going on in the parks and better coordination with the civic groups that are already got volunteers working in the parks and whatnot. And we're looking for the staff person who would actually do that and oversee that work. So not exactly sure how it works into a budget because I've never done this before. Essentially, I'm looking for someone to be identified that's on staff that will fill that role and can be charged to the county Parks and Rec budget, essentially. And the main thing is getting a person in there to start working on this part of our 5-year plan and get that objective and goal accomplished. Okay. The second thing I've got in here is what we normally did in the past was we met in an executive session from the Parks and Rec Commission in June and came up with the priority list for the park projects we would like to get done in 2026 or in the next year. And we gave that to an administrator and somehow it got filtered in and ended up with only a $55,000 a year budget. And you can't do a lot in the parks for $55,000 a year. So on the second page is actually an analysis of the projects that we have coming online. The first one being the Veronica Valley Park Lower Pond Loop Trail. That project has got a grant request in with the Michigan Department of Natural Resources right now, which should be awarded hopefully in December. And if that's awarded, the project's total cost estimate was $100,000. Our share would be $50,000. So we would want to accomplish that project in 2026. The next one is the Miles Kimmerly Disc Golf Upgrade and Short Course and the practice course to be added to the park. We had a 2% grant in for the second time with the tribe and failed on both attempts to get money from the tribe to do that project. So now we'd like to go forward with the project in 2026. Now we can do it in 2 parts. We can do the upgrade part and then store all the stuff we take down from the upgrade to in the future put in the short course and practice course, or we can do the whole project, and the whole project is essentially $30,000. Now what that does, and I'll move that into the conceptual designs in a minute, is that practice and short course would actually occupy the area of the park that is currently the golf driving range, because that's probably the most underutilized piece of the park as it stands right now. The next one is the Miles Kimmerly Park Poor Farm Barn Bathroom Building and Septic System. We've had initial discussions with the Leelanau County Health Preservation Society and about partially funding the project. Right now, they cannot utilize the barn as they need to fully hold events and go forth with their programs because of a building requirement that in order to have assembly of people in the barn, they have to have bathroom facilities available. So right now, and until we do something about getting them bathroom facilities, they cannot utilize the barn as they really would like to and plan to.
So they've applied for a grant from.
This is not a grant process. We haven't applied for a Michigan Department of Natural Resources grant because the Leelanau County Historical Preservation Society has come forward saying they will probably fund a lot of the project. The percentage is not exactly split yet. Now, could it also get a grant from them and we could leverage a grant from Michigan Department of Natural Resources? I don't know, because it hasn't been evaluated to see if it would be a qualifying item for a grant. That's something we would have to do. If it is, then the grant cycle would have it being awarded in December of 2026, which means you wouldn't get the bathroom in until 2027. Okay. The next one is the Old Settlers Park gazebo. Now, we've been going around and around on this project. We actually went out for bids twice on the refurbishment. That was to replace the roof, repaint the decking and the stairs, and then fix all the lattice work and all that stuff. And that was going to come in at about $60,000, but we couldn't get any bidders on the 2 times we went in. Then we went into the 5-year plan cycle and realized that the gazebo, because of the stairs, was probably not ADA and UA compliant. So we had to come up with a different strategy rather than just refurbishing the gazebo to actually either replace it or lower it, which was the other option that we've explored. So right now, that one's kind of loose and up in the air. We don't exactly know what we do. So I really can't say, let's put something in the budget for it at this point, because I don't know what it would be. Okay. The last one is the Veronica Valley Park Fishing Access and Safety Pathway. Right now, there's a pathway going over to the fishing areas that washes out when it rains, and the stones all end up down in the pond. And it's been bad. We've gone in and pulled the stones back up and keep putting them back on the path. And the next rainstorm, it just washes them out again. So we need to come up with an engineered fix and just fix it so it doesn't keep doing it. So that's this $15,000 project, what I would like to do in 2026. But again, it may just be an expense project because it's more maintenance and repair than it is new capital. And so if I were going to put something in the budget for these additional, well, the other thing that has to be explained is, you know, that we have a Parks and Rec separate fund, which currently has a value of $110,000 in it. And currently we have unexpended funds in the 2025 budget of about $25,000. I'm now actually looking at the paragraph number 4 and under the notes, the current balance in the park. So if we take the 25,000 unspent from 2025 and we move it and add it to the 110,000, we're at 135,000 to cover projects. We have, we have 55,000. So what do we need to add to that to just fund everything that's on this page? That would tell us that we need to, and I wrote it down. Essentially another $130,000 added to the capital outlay line item for the Parks and Rec budget to cover all the projects on this sheet in 2026.
But you're not sure about the poor farm cost.
Not exactly sure about the poor farm barn cost, nor the ultimate cost of the gazebo work, because we're now back to the drawing board about exactly what do we do to it. We've gotten a ruling. Patrick commented on his thing that he had a ruling from buildings that because there is a kind of a pavilion space next to the grub shack with tables that's under a roof, and that's close enough to the gazebo that maybe we don't have to have that structure be ADA compliant because we have that structure there.
I liked the 6,000.
I'm sorry?
6,000 sounded good.
Yeah, well, the 6,000 for the gazebo was only to really paint the decking. The roof needs to be replaced. I'm sorry. Pressure washing it, you're gonna find out you got a whole lot of problems with the roof when you pressure wash it. At least that's my opinion.
Thanks, Charlie. Thanks for the overview. You list 5 projects, 5 top priority projects.
Right.
If you could pick out 3, which would the 3 be?
Well, we definitely will have to do the Veronica Valley Lower Pond Trail. The disc golf I would prefer to do, and I think we definitely got to do the Veronica Valley Fishing Access and Safety Pathway Project.
So one more, if you had to pick 3?
I picked 3. That was 3.
Oh, okay, okay.
Veronica Valley did their twice.
Thank you.
Okay. So that's that. The next thing is I just to keep us at a higher level, I picked, you have these aerial views of the 3 parks. So you can see what they currently look like. And then also attached to that is the conceptual designs for each of the 3 parks. Obviously, Old Settlers Park being the oldest of the parks, it's complete. It's essentially in a maintenance and repair cycle. We're not adding any new facilities to the park, with the one exception. And Patrick brought it up. The stairs going down to the shoreline are getting very old. They're not in the greatest of shape. They are somewhat rickety. And they are not definitely ADA or UA compliant for someone who has a handicap getting down to the shore and to the dock. Also, there's an asphalt driveway on the north end of the park that goes down to the shoreline. It also is not ADA or UA compliant because of the slope. It's too steep. So the solution to that is take out the stairs and put in that ramp structure that Patrick talked about to get down to the dock. So, and also ultimately put in probably a boardwalk along the shoreline, which is then ADA and UA accessible for anybody who needs to get to the dock and wants to be on the shoreline. Because right now they can't do it. It's totally restricted. So now the other reason I gave you the conceptual designs in 2022 and 2023, the Miles Kimmerly Park Committee put together with Gosling Zubik this new conceptual design for the park. In the CIP document that I gave you, which is my own spreadsheet for it, lists all of the projects which would be required to implement this conceptual design. It also has the projects which are required to be done to finish the build out for Veronica Valley Park. And then it has some projects for Old Settlers Park in it. The gazebo work and the stair, replace the stairs. And there's one on here which probably would be removed because we actually repaired the potable water piping. And it doesn't have to be replaced at this point. So what we don't know exactly from the projects on this list is how good are the estimates? What is the actual scope of the projects? And whether they would qualify for grants. Right now, there's no one in the county that I know of that has the skill set and expertise and staff and to essentially do that process. We've been using an outside firm to do that. So I would like to put some money in the budget, and I put in the $30,000, which would be equivalent to creating 5 grant applications. That's what the estimate was from this consultant for how much it would cost to do an application. So if we had 5 projects that wanted to go in for grant funding, we would have to spend money with somebody to create those grants applications. The next cycle for grant applications are due on April 1st of 2026. So I would like some money in the budget and possibly spend some money this year to get rolling on figuring out what grant opportunities we have for the 2026 grant cycle,
so we can then be doing projects in 2027. So right now, there's no money in the budget to do that, so I'm asking for a $30,000 increase. And again, I don't know the budget that well, that I don't know which line item you put it in, but I'm looking for $30,000 to fund doing that.
Any have any questions? Yeah, do you have anything?
Sure. Trying to keep tally here on your worksheet that you've got. Charlie addressed Miles Kimberly upgrade to disc golf course. And that was a Parks and Rec request, and you gave it a $30,000 estimated cost.
Right.
We did have Miles Kimberly install a short disc golf on a list that came from last year.
Yeah, that's actually within the 30,000. Both projects are 30,000
Total.
total.
So this is a double entry right
Right.
here? Okay, okay. And then we also had holdover Miles Kimberly improved playground equipment. It's on the CIP, which is
In
for
2027.
2027, so still,
And again, that's one we would want to go in and see if there's a grant opportunity in 2026, so we can be ready to do the project in 2027.
okay. And then the gazebo refurbishment is both a Parks and Rec and a CIP request, and in the CIP, I think it's listed at 160,000.
Yeah, the 160,000 is actually an estimate we got, and again, this is a ballpark estimate, to actually lower the existing gazebo down to ground level. So we would put in beams underneath it on jacks, cut out all the substructure and lower the whole gazebo to ground level, and then replace the roof, fix all the, fix all the broken lattice work and redo the decking.
And then Patrick addressed, and you also mentioned Old Settlers replace the stairs with the ramp,
Right.
and it's in the CIP at 106,000.
I thought it was 160,
Okay,
and that was in 2030, but that was just throwing it out there, just to have it out there.
okay.
Again, it's the condition of the stairs that are gonna necessitate when we gotta do something.
And then we also had the loop trail on our working list, knowing it's a $100,000 grant with the DNR pending approval. The $50,000 match is part of the $110,000 that's sitting in your fund.
Correct.
So that's funds that were unspent for 2 calendar years that prior administrator Lewis moved into capital outlay specifically for parks.
Correct.
For future projects. And Veronica Valley parking lot pavement, we have it on our list. It's on the CIP for 2027. I don't think you spoke about that.
No, I
You
didn't.
spoke about a Veronica Valley path to pond.
Right, that was a 2026 project.
So shall I add the path to pond to your working list?
And again, I didn't know,
You can put it on there, the working document, yeah.
Okay, on your working document.
I
So
mean, it's a
Veronica-
$15,000 project. I don't know if it's actually a capital outlay project or an expense and repair project.
That's, we just need to have it listed so we don't lose it for discussion purposes. Then if you're looking for his budget, it's under tab, I want to say internal services, page 79 of 83 for Parks and Rec, page 79 of 83.
Internal services.
Let me-
Supplemental information.
Last tab under, your general fund.
Internal
Before
service, yeah, before special funds, internal service transfer.
This paragraph is what I was doing with the fund, with that special fund.
Account number should be 85756.
So what page did you say?
70, woo, 79 of 83. I was on the wrong page. 79 of 83 is Parks and Rec.
Just a comment, and I think everybody at this table sat on the Parks and Recreation Commission at one time. And we've never funded the parks at the level that we were able to do what the Parks and Recreation Commission wants to do to keep those, I mean, the parks are jewels. And I, as one commissioner, I would like to see us commit some additional monies to Parks and Recreation.
I am gonna throw out an idea that I had, and I haven't brought it up yet. Is all the projects that are in the conceptual design for the Miles Kimberly Park, the new projects, the new facilities, the, you know, pickleball courts, the upgrades to the ball diamonds, the short course we want to offer discount on all those new things. That all adds up in the current estimates of about $1,600,000.
Well, that's not what I had in me.
Now,
Thank you so much.
now.
You need a second?
No, what I'm gonna just say is, when we go for grant opportunities, is it possible that we would actually bundle all those together in one grant application with maybe a 50% match, which is, I think, what we would get from the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, and leverage 800,000 against 800,000 and get them all, and get the projects done. I mean, that's a possibility that we could do. Not just,
Well, I think that's a conversation to have with the administrator and see if that's possible, I guess, so, and with the finance director.
And there's just one more, I picked up that he's looking to contract a grant writer possibility for 30,000. So under the Parks and Recs projects on our work list, shall I add grant writer
Yes.
for consideration?
I think that's a good idea.
And the Parks and Rec volunteers, at a staffing level increase that you're looking for?
yeah, that is a staff person. It's supposed to be according to our bylaws. And the activities that we would be asking them to do is essentially everything under this goal and objective from our 5-year plan. Again, I don't know how you fit it into the organization and who would be doing it.
I don't, you know, I will move as directed, but that's a lot for 0.25 administrator and 0.5, you know, devoted technician. So although I agree, you know, the parks could use, they are jewels, they are gems. You have to factor in the human resource part of this, because again, right now, the way it's broken down is that's a quarter of my administrative responsibilities and half of Jordan's maintenance responsibilities. So I just wanted to drop that note.
Anything else, Kathy?
Just the last one, poor barn, bathroom, et cetera, ADA. I don't have that here. Am I adding that to the working list?
Yeah, I have to work this, but don't forget about it, I guess.
Okay.
We have an opportunity to get some major funding for that. That would be a really important opportunity, because that would be.
Yeah, I'm not sure the Leelanau County Historical Preservation Society is going to be ready to pull the trigger on that in 2026, because they still got to do the fundraising.
All right. Anything else? Kathy, report?
No.
I'm gonna put my commissioner hat rather than my park commissioner hat on and say that as far as coordinating, finding this volunteer coordinator, it's either the chicken or the egg. And I think if the commission and park supporters were successful in coming up with committees, as we've discussed, I think that would go a long ways towards an organization of volunteers. I just can't see it being a full-time position as volunteer coordinator if I was going to envision it with support, it would be a program director / volunteer coordinator. Someone of that sort to keep track of who's using the equipment, who would like to use it, who and promoting it, but I just wouldn't see it just being.
Yeah, and
I'm not
that's,
sure
and
that's
that's not
right.
out of, that's not out of line with what's here. Because it's saying that this person would be improve the partnership with Leelanau County's Historic Preservation Society and other stakeholders for the Poor Farm Barn, establish a relationship with the Grand Traverse Band, continue, sustain the ongoing collaboration with Glen Lake Women's Club, the Old Settlers Annual Picnic Group. I mean, we already have lots of groups active, and they're kind of running their own shows because we give them facilities and they do programming. And we don't get in the middle. So
It would also be an ideal position for a college intern, say at MSU
Yeah.
Parks and Rec. There's someone.
yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, we got to analyze this to see what skill set is required
Right.
and write the position description for what that skill set is. And again, I don't know it's a full-time job, but
Well, yeah, well, I see it more as an intern, and the only reason I say that is because of the title. I don't want people to get the impression that they're going out and getting volunteers to rake leaves and things like that. It's
Right.
much higher, much higher.
although one of the things is to identify volunteer opportunities for people to do at the parks.
Right.
So,
Right. We see, I had another. Oh, I didn't understand, and this has to do with Patrick, your first. Providing Patrick another title without compensation, which is our job up here, isn't it? I mean, I don't know, I know, but that's what it sounded like. You're looking to have authority placed in Patrick at certain times that it's needed for someone to step in and become part of the decision-making process. Is that?
It's already, like I said, a quarter of my position. So, I can give as much as I can, but at some point you reach time and I can only be in so many places, within a given schedule. What he just described, to stay on top of all that is a lot.
as we get into more and more projects, it's gonna take somebody who's writing the RFPs, who's managing the project, who's getting, supervising the contractors or whatever that are doing the project. There's a lot of stuff that's gonna be more than 25% his time.
And I'm getting more confident with some of the way these things are structured. I would like to try some grant writing, with some direction from the board and the administrator. But there's only so many hours in the day, and it's just listening to what he rattled off there. It's a lot, and I don't know how you're going to get someone to do all that and be devoted on a part-time or volunteer basis. If you can, great. I'd love to work with them, where I can provide oversight and maybe some direction. But there are limits to what you can accomplish.
Maybe I didn't, what were you looking at in that case? In that first thing, section 6.6. Are you looking for a new position or?
It calls for a parks coordinator position. That doesn't mean it has to be the buildings facility, the director, facilities director. It's a parks coordinator, and that person's gonna be supervising projects in the parks, and they're a staff person who works for the county.
Right.
And just to plug my own presentation, my suggestion is to facilitate someone starting to learn more about that, which I would be, part of that. Add for more education, try to figure out, what that position requires from groups like the National Recreation and Parks Association, and really dive into that further. It was just kind of a hunting license to go get more official and certified training.
Because I know you'd also mentioned Jordan as taking more responsibility.
Right, but if this exceeds his current capacity, like we could grow it, it would take a long time for Jordan to get up to that capacity, which we could do. We could grow it as we go.
Yeah.
Or you could go solicit and see if anybody bites and wants to come work.
All right, do we have any follow-up questions? All right, thank you. Thanks for your presentation. All right, next up, we have public comments. No one? Commissioner comments?
I want to just make sure that everybody heard that my question for Matt and Georgie was uninformed. And that, as the chair said, it included the ARPA funds.
All right.
Well, yeah, no, I also love it included emergency management as well as 911. So we might include that too. Emergency management is not really 911. Maybe he does that same thing, so. That's what I thought.
Any other commissioner comments? Not, we're adjourned. See you all at 6:30.
Yeah. Be back in 28 minutes.
All that.
Or less.